Welcome aboard, fellow passengers and chooms. It is your host and conductor on this here wild ride, Demetrius Villa III. It is the year 2077, and after mass rebuilding following the Third War of the Rights in these constitutional monarchical states of America, and after the brutal destruction of COVID-53, we have finally connected this great and vast land from sea to shining sea with maglev technology. It has been a long and arduous country, but now we reap the spoils and can finally enjoy intercontinental transportation, finally liberating us from the shocking grip of the airline, oil, and auto lobby. Freedom, liberty, and justice for all Americans. And I do say, well, shocking, worth it. Hello everyone, it is your host and founder of this wild ride. It is me, Demetrius Villa. Oh man, it is hot in here. Jeez, it's summer already. But we got to cool down with the star blast from the future. I guess future. Future blast. Alright, let's turn this down a bit over here because this is way too loud. I don't have my headphones on, or maybe it is on. I don't know. There we are. Okay, everybody. It's your host and founder. It is me, Demetrius Villa. And yeah, this was this was kind of funny props there. 2077, that's too hopeful, yeah. I gotta tell you something. Of course, these are fake, because these are becoming a meme now. Pit Vipers are coming back from the 90s. If you guys haven't noticed, we're forever stuck in the 80s and 90s because we haven't come up with anything new pop culture at all. I mean, we're going back to troll faces. I mean, come on. We're just returning back and forth. I mean, culture in this, basically in the 21st century is kind of dead. But yeah. It's actually very good. It's going to be a long night now that I had caffeine. I usually only drink those after I work out. Speaking of working out, my biceps have gotten too big that this jacket now doesn't fit anymore on me. But hey, it is what it is. Oh, man. Let's see. Hello, everyone. Yeah, Cybertrain 2077. We have a high-quality train AI. Yeah, there have been more train artificial intelligences coming out. Like that one in Australia. Oh, dear. Oh, man, it is hot. Man, it's like it hasn't even begun spring. It's like, nope, straight to summer. Straight to the summer. All right, okay. Yeah. Baba Booey Train versus George Biden. I'm doing great, Akshar. How are you? Yeah, look like a trolley driver with that. Yeah, well, this is the new trolley drivers. This is what the trolley drivers in the 20s, or roaring 20s, are going to be wearing. Weird flex, but okay. Yeah, no, actually, I have been doing pretty well in flexing. All right. Let's see. God bless for rail travel. Yes, God bless indeed. War Thunder 2077. Whoops. Oh man, it's gonna be. Oh man, yeah. It's what it is. It is what it is, folks. All right. Let's go ahead and check this out. I have the wrong article on here, and it's hard to look in these glasses. Oh, by the way, this is pretty funny. If you guys remember, we looked at this last time about the Cato Institute. If you remember from the last stream, basically the Tool, Randy O'Toole, you know who we're talking about, folks. The Tool, Randy O'Toole. This gives me a time to go ahead and try out my new soundboard over here. I'm testing it out, just like we're testing out new things to make our streams a lot more fun. But the Tool, Randy O'Toole, where is it? Bruh. Yeah, this guy. Saying that, we're wasting time in making slow trains, and that high-speed rail is for some reason old technology. That's kind of BS. But of course, we're rendered obsolete in 1958 when, of course, the Japanese started their high-speed rail technology. Slower than flying, less convenient than driving, and more expensive than either one. That's absolutely false. By the way, for those of you who think the Cato Institute is good, here, check this out. They're A-OK with sweatshops and third world labor, basically slave labor. Yeah, these are the libertarians, folks. These are libertarians in the modern day, the Lolberts. But that's who they are. Let's talk about this, because this has been pretty interesting with what's going on with Biden's infrastructure plan. There has just been a lot a lot of articles just coming out about Joe Biden's infrastructure plan, the $2 trillion infrastructure plan. It is quite crazy. But, I mean, this is good. So, hopefully, I'm just saying, with all the articles that are coming out now, with all the press surrounding this sort of thing, hopefully it actually goes into action. That's all we're waiting for. But yeah, CJ, have you played NIMBY Rails before? You can build your own railroad anywhere in the world. No, I haven't. I actually saw when they came out with a trailer of that game. I probably should try it out. We're gonna do a stream sometime. I'm trying to think of what games to do. To have a stream for gaming, and we'll probably do just like a chill stream with just gaming, and we'll just talk back and forth, just for that. But that was kind of the reason why I wanted to make a second channel on Demetrius Via, and just work on that. But hopefully, yeah. Amtrak by the people for the nation. Okay. Recreational sweatshops. Yeah, that's what the Cato Institute wants. So this is interesting. For some reason, the poll doesn't come out too well over here. I'm not quite sure why, but we'll try to go ahead and see if maybe that I can where is it? Reload it. Let's reload the will it come out this time? Will it come out so we can see the poll here? No, it won't come out. Okay. So there's a lot of contention now because the House is very much now sort of split. You have the Democrats in power of the House, the Senate, the executive branch, of course, with Biden. Whatever you think of him, he's it's the Democrats in charge, right? Okay, and also the Supreme Court are not really too friendly to the Republicans right now. That's just the reality of it. And there's a lot of bills now coming out that they're trying to pack in more people into the court, to put in 13 Supreme Court judges instead of 9. They want to add D.C. as a state. There's just been a lot of push right now. I mean, they're just going full blast on that, which is kind of why I'm worried. Not because of all that I don't agree with half these things that the Democrats are pushing, but I'm more worried that they're going to be focusing on all these other political red herrings and not focusing on what's really going to get people back to work, which is infrastructure. You need labor, you need infrastructure, you need manufacturing back in this country in order for anything to really go. But that's really what it is. So let's go ahead and let's put some. I'm going to make this music just a little bit lower so we can listen to that. Unless you guys don't want the music, you let me know. Music, no music? What do you guys want? Let me know. And we'll figure it out from there. Alright, put 1 for music and 2 for no music. So we'll go ahead and do that. What happened to my second channel? Yeah, it's the greatest mystery of all time. What happened to my second channel? I just haven't had the time, or every time I just get distracted and just try to at least work on getting a steady flow of videos for the main channel here, which is the American Rail Club. Of course, the other channel is more for me to talk about other stuff, and I've talked about wanting to do an episode about the economics of the Cybertruck for since it came out, but that's just been again, life happens. You get a job, you lose a job. A worldwide catastrophe, and everybody's sent home, and things start going crazy. Then you move from the place that you had before that you were paying off, nice 3-bedroom, to a place that your fiance's family owned. So I mean, hey, look, life can be a heck of a lot worse, guys. So just thank God, or whatever. If you're not Christian or Catholic or whatever, just thank your higher being. Just thank God that you have what you have right now, roof over your head. If you're watching this stream, you have internet connectivity. That means you have something that 99.9% of humanity has never had. You had connection to the vast information of all time in the palm of your hand. So I mean, thank God for that, right? Thank God for that. 1, 2. Gotta crank up the vibes. Okay, it looks like we all want the vibes. All right, good. Have you checked out the general lobby on Discord? Some good articles have been posted there. Yeah, I should check that out. And for some reason, I had Discord up. Then my computer wanted to go ahead and restart because Microsoft. And that's it. But let's get into this. All right, voters like Biden's infrastructure plan. GOP still sees an opening on taxes. The Times poll shows large majorities back spending on roads, ports, broadband, and more, but Republicans aim to make corporate tax increases the issue. This is really the problem. This is why I can't stand the modern corporate Republican Party. It is just a complete waste of a party, a complete waste of resources and time to even support this party. Even if you supported Trump or one, even Trump supporters don't like the Republican Party anymore. Who likes the Republican Party anymore at this point? I mean, unless you're like, a corporate conservative. It's not even a conservative. The minute you start making corporations the people, they're not even people, but once you start deifying corporations, you lose everything. So President Biden's $2.3 trillion infrastructure plan has yet to win over a single Republican in Congress, but it is broadly popular with voters nationwide, mirroring the dynamics of the $1.9 trillion economic aid bill that Mr. Biden signed into law last month. The infrastructure proposal garners support from 2 in 3 Americans. So that means the majority of everybody, right? If we look at this poll, we can barely see it over here for some reason, but let's go ahead and highlight that. That's the only way I can really get it to go. So in total of the country, 64% of Americans approve of the American Jobs Plan, 34% disapprove. Democrats, 97% approve, only 3% disapprove. So yeah, it's completely unanimous upon Democrats. Independents, 72%. Disapprove, 28%. And then Republicans, 29% approve, only 29%, and 70% disapprove. Now, here's the problem. There's a lot of people in this country, myself included, that are non-politically affiliated. That means we don't subscribe to any party, or we're not, registered with any party, although we probably would vote more, down-ticket Republican or down-ticket Democrat or whatnot, okay? But when it comes to independents, that's really the number to look at. That's more important. Because you have a lot of people that would probably be Republicans, but they're not registered Republicans, Democrats. So we can just throw the Republican number out and just say 72% of Americans in total support this. Which is, if you have 72% approval for anything, that's a shoo-in. That's a shoo-in. So there's no doubt about that. Republican leaders hope they can ultimately turn some voters, particularly independents, against the plan by attacking Mr. Biden's proposal to fund it with tax increases on corporations. Now, those increases include raising the corporate income tax to 28% from 21% on a variety of issues meant to force multinational corporations to pay more in tax to the United States on profits they earn or book abroad. Now, there's a mixed bag with this, right? While I do agree that corporations are taking a lot of money away from the workers in the company and it's giving them more to the executives and to the shareholders, to basically the top board and whatnot, or back to their stockholders, right? They're not giving it to the 99% or whatever you want to go. I'm not trying to be a communist here at all. This is just how it works, because this whole trickle-down economics hasn't really worked so well in the conservative sense, right? I'm just looking at here. It's like, hey, the country hasn't really done so well, and the worker, Republican wants to be the party of the worker, and it hasn't done well at all whatsoever. So this is just basically, corporations just, when you raise their taxes, they're just probably going to find some way to screw over the little people, right? That's usually how it works. So unless there's a surefire way that you can do that and actually, and it's not just collecting taxes, right? Because now we're in tax season. I already filed my taxes this week and got that over with. By the way, if you guys are going to file your taxes, creditkarma.com. I'm not even sponsored or anything like that. I probably should be, but it's free. They give you free audit defense, and you can file your federal and state taxes. I mean, if you can play a computer game, you can play in your PC, you can play a video game, you can file your taxes by yourself. Don't go to H&R Block where these CPAs that basically know nothing, file your taxes and gimp you out of your money, and then they keep half your refund. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're all are smarter than that. I mean, there is nobody here in this chat that can't do taxes by themselves. Come on. But this is ridiculous. It's both. I would say both the Democrats and Republicans' fault, right? Because the problem is that this infrastructure bill has a lot of stuff that I wouldn't agree with, and most of you guys probably wouldn't agree with. Like, for example, this ridiculous amount of money they're putting into electric cars. That's probably not going to help most people. I mean, let Tesla and everybody else do it. That's their thing, because all of this is going to be subsidies to General Motors for them to be able to not pay for electric infrastructure, and then they'll just flood the market with mediocre electric cars, and they'll find some way to break it down. If you guys know about the General Motors EV1 and that story, that's not a good thing to go. But the problem is the Democrats have put in way too much in this bill, too much pork, and too many other earmarks into this bill in order to shove a whole lot of other things in here, which we'll also get into that, talking about, this other thing. Infrastructure's popular. Senator Mitch McConnell. Hey, I got to do the Mitch McConnell, the cocaine Mitch turtle. Cocaine Mitch. Infrastructure's popular. We need to have an infrastructure bill as big as we're willing to credibly pay for without going back and undoing the 2017 tax bill. Which they're not undoing the 2017 tax bill. The corporate tax rate before any of this was 35%. Trump brought it down to 21%. So Biden wants to bring it back up to 28%. So, hey, there wasn't a major difference before or after. Companies will just find a way to mess us up. It's basically what it is. Again, tax increases. All these tax increases, and all the people get is, $1,400 checks. $1,400 checks. That bill won support of 72% of Americans, including 43% of Republicans, because who doesn't want free money, especially when the money's fake anyway. Individual components of the plan are even more popular. 67% of respondents said that they support increased federal spending on mass transit. That's very important, and that's good, okay? Of all respondents. Now, I don't know how that's... here we go. Let's see this exactly pushed out. All right? So let's go. Increased federal spending on mass transit, including train and bus service. In total, 67% approve it. 3%, I guess, have no care about it. And 30% disapprove. Democrats, 91%, so that's lower than 97%, but that's a standard deviation away. That's not a big deal. 8% disapprove. Independents, 68% approve. 30% disapprove. Republicans, 44%. So that's an increase from what? From 29% over here. I'm sorry you guys can't see this. I can't see this either because the New York Times has a crappy website, and that's why they're failing. And hey, that's their thing. Increased spending to repair highways, bridges, and major roads. Now look, the Republicans 75% approve. That's funny. But hey, Democrats 95% approve. So, look, this is the thing. Everybody supports fixing our freaking infrastructure. It's not that hard to go ahead and get consensus for this. What's hard, at least here for us Americans, is actually putting it into practice and actually working on the goals we set out for ourselves. Because we put these large goals. We had a high-speed rail bill back in 1965, and that fluttered. So, and that's why I really don't have that much confidence in a federal high-speed rail plan. Because Obama said the same thing, and now Biden's in office, and nothing happened much during Obama. I mean, he threw out $12 billion, and it mostly went to California, which is still working on their thing, which we'll go over to California as well. But Biden is doing the same thing as well, but it's different now. The market is so much different now because you have Brightline, which is a private company down in Florida, and they're more than halfway done building to Orlando. You have Texas Central Railway, which hopefully, if they get digging by the end of this year, going next year, another private company, mostly funded by the Japanese and by other companies and by other creditors. That's a whole difference. So it's really changed from this whole failure of trying to, for the last 50 or so years, to try to push down from a federal level, and the most amount of effort and progress that we've seen is it being done in the state level. The state and regional level is where high-speed rail and mass transit is really going to push itself forward. That's where we need to focus on. That's why I say, focus on your state, focus on your region. I know it's nice to look at this whole, to look at this thing, but it's put on rose-colored glasses, although these are red, white, and blue. By the way, these are fake. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I'm not going to pay $100 for glasses that I'm probably going to either smash, lose, or something else. For some reason, I have the worst luck with glasses. Although I don't really break anything. Like, I have phones for years and years on end. I've had this phone for 4 years now, and it works perfectly fine. Not a dent, not a scratch. Not a scratch on it at all whatsoever. But glasses, even prescription glasses, since I was in middle school, either I get into fights or either I'd be playing soccer goalie because I couldn't kick for crap. I mean, I'm the only, Cuban guy on the team. Everybody else is from South America. I'm like, dude, all I do is play baseball and boxing. All right, that's what we're good at, baseball and boxing. We're not into poverty ball, okay? So they would just put me as goalie, and I just would smash my face into the ball to keep it from getting in. But hey, we'd win, and I break my glasses. But yeah, I basically have the worst luck with glasses. So that's it. Look, all these companies they all make their glasses in China. They probably make these in the same factory anyway. Look, I don't care. I'm not going to give Luxottica money, which probably owns like 97% of all sunglasses companies. Anyway, but that's what it is. Let's look at the comments here a little bit. One thing with Obama, though, is his Democratic Party was far more conservative than it is now. There was so much more that could have been passed had it not been for a select few senators. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I would say conservatives were more conservative back then, right? The whole country has kind of turned. The whole country. Look, oh dear, ow, that fell down. Okay, what you see, as like what's palatable for the mainstream politics. What you see is really a lot more leftist, but the country in total has turned a lot more. They've split very much either more toward extremist leftists or more toward the extreme right, which. Yeah, hey, it's just what happens, Hey, you know what happened in the 1920s and 1930s, right? History doesn't repeat itself, but it sure does rhyme, as Mark Twain once said. But yeah, I look. They could have gotten a lot more done during the Obama administration. That it was a good plan. They could have gotten a lot more done. I really do think so. Can you watch a video of the Siemens Venture testing? All right, we'll put that on. A lot of you guys are asking about the Siemens Venture. It must be really nice. I mean, I've written it on Brightline, but you guys really want to see it, so that's good. So yeah, this is really what's going on here. So most people do support this plan. So where do you see a lot of Republicans not supporting? Well, let's go to Democrats first, right? Or what they want to push is this whole equity thing. Now, this is very much like sort of SJW type of thing that has really come up. I mean, I'm not at all an SJW, but it's what's palatable now, I guess, right? Coming with that term, but look, it's really about giving everybody a job, right? I don't care what color you are or whatnot. As long as we're here, we got to work towards something, right? Now, the country has changed demographically. Now, I don't know what's going to happen because, as you can see from, time immemorial, in different areas of the world, in different parts of history, demographics is destiny, and a lot of bad things can happen when you mix a lot of people together. That's why we're having a lot more turmoil in this country. Now, that's just what it is, all right? I'm not here to tell you what you should or shouldn't believe. That's not my thing. I'm just telling you the truth, okay? This whole thing is that, look, if we could be able to get people back to work, normal middle-class Americans back to either manufacturing jobs or everything, everybody would go up. Everybody would be happy. It's not to say that any of those problems would disappear in terms of racial turmoil or anything like that, but it'd be a lot more calm, okay? You have a lot of people now on the streets because they don't have jobs. They're ticked off. Yeah, they're gonna start burning down cities, okay? They'd be a lot better if they had their own place. They didn't have to pay so much for homes. They didn't have to pay so much for transportation. They didn't have to be forced to buy a car in order to get to work if they could. So this is really what we want is, when it comes in terms of equity of transportation, as they say, yeah, this is what we've been talking for the longest of time. That's what we need. Demographic change. You've been watching Tucker. I haven't watched Tucker in forever. He's really, just too much of just a normie, to be honest. Yeah, he's, finally, yeah, he's talked about it, so what? That's what it is. Like, we've known about this for like, 10 years now? At least I've known about this for 10 years. I mean, I lived in Miami. Trust me, I know what happens when you start putting a whole lot of people in one place. Look, it's what it is, right? Like I said, I want everybody to live, together peacefully. But, sometimes, look, there's a reason why Japan has been able to build so much. And I said it. Look, Japan is 98% Japanese. China is 99% Chinese. Okay? Or Han Chinese, if you want to be specific. The reason is that, it's a lot easier to work with people, from your own background. Okay? That's just what it is, all right? Bucker Carlson is controlled opposition. Yeah, it's true, Grambo. So look at this. Low-income minority communities are more likely to be located near highways, which is true. Look, the highways, which is, this is really pushed by the guy nobody really likes here on this channel. Everybody hates Robert Moses, okay? Robert Moses was that guy that completely messed up. I believe he was probably the driving force that really messed up transportation in this country and transit in general. Okay, this guy helped plan to put highways and parkways in all sorts of places they should not have been. He took away a lot from the New York subway. Basically, the New York subway was at its peak before Robert Moses, and by the time Robert Moses gets in and leaves, the New York subway is probably in the worst decline it will never come back from, unless you have really it really needs a lot of work for the New York subway. But this is I agree with all this. Improving pedestrian infrastructure and increasing public transportation service in low income and minority communities to improve connectivity. Using roadside barriers, vegetation, or bottleneck removal to reduce the impacts of pollution on communities located near high volume roads. Offering reduced public transportation fares for students or youth, and working with employers to extend public transportation benefits to employees. Okay, look, there's nothing wrong with any of this. This makes sense. This is completely sensible. Addressing housing affordability in a regional strategy for promoting a variety of housing options at different price points for people at all stages and walks of life. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen what's going on in the real estate market, because like I said before, prior to Toyota, I was working on my own company, basically doing advertising for real estate corporations, for realtors, and I was saying, I might as well try that. Hey, I'm good with advertising. I know how to do Facebook ads and all that type of stuff. Why not try it? I got out of that market in the summer because I knew where things were going. I said, well, maybe the market's going up a little bit, and then I saw the signs that it is just saturated with most normal people cannot afford a house. We said this before in streams. Millennials don't even own the 30% of millennials own homes, and we're going into our 30s and 40s, and we still don't own a home. Now houses, a house that should be $50,000 is going out on the market for $300,000. And now, even worse now, is that there's a lot of big corporations, big banks, big real estate, basically buying out a lot of these houses for just bolt-on cash. Okay, so a house will go on the market for $300,000, and within 5 hours, it's already outbid, for $300,000 cash. Okay, no normal everyday Joe who has saved up $30,000 for a down payment is ever going to be able to afford that. So yeah, it's a problem. It really is a problem. Okay? So what are the Republicans saying about it? They're ticked off that it's going to ruin the suburbs. Now, I have mixed feelings about this, because they're taking it from a racial standpoint that the neighborhoods are going to be bad now. Well, should suburbs even exist in this country? Okay? We know that prior to the 1950s, right, the whole American dream of owning your own home with a white picket fence, which is very short-lived. I mean, after the 60s, that all turned to trash. Thanks to our thanks to a certain generation. Thanks, boomers. But anyway, that whole dream really didn't last too long. The suburbs were a new idea at that time, because you had a lot of people returning in from World War II. The railroads were completely shot, because it's the same thing that happened in World War I. The governments took over the railroads for the wartime effort to basically bring in massive amounts of equipment to the eastern coast, upping up manufacturing. So the railroads were getting completely beat. Basically like persistent scheduled railroading today, right? They're just completely running towards things until they break down, and then they'll throw another, half broken train set in there, or they'll just switch the engine out from a newer working rail train into one that's completely busted up. It's basically precision scheduled railroading before precision scheduled railroading. But this is what happened in World War II. The railroads were completely busted up because the government was just completely abusing them and using them, for the war effort. Hey, it's what it is. You need to do what you need to do to win a war, right? But the government never fixed it up, never paid it back. GM, especially GM, Ford, Chrysler, became super powerful now because they supplied most of the tanks and jeeps and all these other things. Okay, which the railroads were moving along, which we'll talk about that a little later. So these railroads were completely busted up. You had this new idea of moving now all this massive amounts of veterans and their families outside of the cities and into suburbs so they can have their pie of the American dream. So they can go ahead and have a picket fence. They can go ahead and have a Chevy Bel Air and a Ford Thunderbird and have a nice time and, have 2 or 3 kids and, have a nice happy time. Very short-lived. So for those of us that reminisce about the 50s, didn't last too long. It was a decade, and maybe a little bit in the 60s, and that was it. But basically, you had a very sharp decline of railroads. The railroads were trying to keep the passenger rails going up, but they could not compete against a new and large emerging automobile lobby that completely was against the railroads. Okay, which is funny enough. The railroads, of course, had a massive lobby prior to World War II. The railroads were big. They had to be broken up at some points. They were massive corporations. The difference is that the railroads, as far as we know, and as if in reality, they never went against the automobile companies. They were friendly with them because, hey, the automobile companies have to rely on us to get parts, and we move their automobiles across the country. Where is that? I gotta find this article. And then we'll talk about this. I know I've been talking a lot, but hey, it's what it is. I blame the caffeine. I'm trying to speak slower. Where is it? Yeah, we got a lot here to talk about. And then we'll take a break from this, and then we'll go ahead and take some callers. So if you guys are on Discord, we'll go ahead and talk about that. Where is it? Jeez, it's gone. Oh, there we are. Okay. Weekly rail traffic figures continue to underscore effects of pandemic in 2020, right? Here's the big thing. So, rail traffic is up, right? But the big number over here, 450%. And motor vehicle and parts, right? So the railroads are not against the automobile industry. The automobile industry is certainly against the railroads, like what we saw GM do. And, of course, we know what happened with GM, what they did to transit cars, to the streetcars. They bought up all these companies. They destroyed the streetcars. They ripped up all the rails, and they put their smelly, ridiculous, overly maintained, or needs to be maintained diesel buses. And they did this, of course, with Firestone and a couple of other companies. So a whole bunch of companies got together. GM was the ringleader. You had Firestone and a couple of other oil companies. This was, the streetcar conspiracy. Okay, this was a fact. This was for real. And the Supreme Court said, GM is guilty of doing this, and they fined him like $5. I'm not kidding. They fined these large corporations $5. Okay. If you don't think the courts were bought and paid for back then, imagine what they are now. But look at this. The railroads help out motor vehicles, the automobile industry. Right? So that's the difference. The rail industry was never trying to kill off the automobile industry, but the automobile industry has continually tried to kill off the rail industry. So that's what happened in the 50s and 60s, and that's where, part of where we got today. And of course, the passenger rails and the companies back then really screw up. Yeah, they shot themselves in the foot for a number of reasons. Okay, and they weren't able to adapt fast enough. They were still used to we'll come back. We've been here since the 1860s. We'll be okay. We'll survive this. No, they didn't. That's what happened. But look at this. So. Here we go. So this is from Breitbart. Of course, we have a whole bunch of articles from like street blogs, from other things. So I just take articles from everywhere. I don't care if it's from like the Daily Costs or whatnot, right? I just want to give you guys the news and analysis of what's behind the words and what's behind all this. If Democrats are in charge of your suburban zoning laws, get ready for the death of your quality of life, as it hasn't been bad already. His fraudulency, Joe Biden's. Okay, so you got, of course, it's Breitbart by John Nolte. $2.3 trillion infrastructure quotation plan includes provisions to annihilate suburban single-family housing. Oh no, we're going to kill the suburbs that shouldn't exist. This is from far left. USA Today pretty much sums it up. Quote, Biden's proposal would award grants and tax credits to cities that change zoning laws to bolster more equitable access to affordable housing. A house with a white picket fence and a big backyard for a 4th of July barbecue may be a staple of the American dream. But experts and local politicians say multifamily zoning is key to combating climate change, racial injustice, and the nation's growing affordable housing crisis. Now, if you guys have enough sense to know where this is going, right? I'm not gonna read any more into this. This was a funny part. They make it about race, but plenty of black people are fleeing Democrat-run. I can't say that on here in the stream because I'll get banned by Commissar Susan. Banning Democrat-run shock holes cities for the suburbs. So what is this doing? From what the right thinks, this is really conservative incorporated, right? This is really conservative incorporated. Really, this is what Breitbart is, right? They think that the suburbs are going to be destroyed because now all the undesirables are moving into the suburbs, right? And the Democrats think, oh, now we can get rid of the suburbs and really gerrymander stuff here, right? It's going to backfire on both of them because this is what's happening right now in reality. Right now, what's going on. Everybody has been complaining, or let's put it this way, a lot of people in the transportation space on the left has really been complaining a lot about gentrification. And this has been something, basically what gentrification is people from the suburbs moving back into the cities now, right? You have all these yuppies and these yuppie millennials moving into these, these apartment boxes that were made 10 years ago. These modern looking with these shifted windows that look all funky and whatnot, and they have bricks on one side, and it look like some sort of Picasso messed up infrastructure of a building, of an edifice, some sort of monstrosity. So they're moving into these edifices in cities, and they're moving they're building these apartments in places that used to be not too good, right? So this is what happens. Really what it's going to do is now it's going to drive a reverse of what happened. So all this white flight that happened in the 70s, okay, you guys saying like, oh no, he's talking about race. Guys, this is reality, right? I'm not talking about anything that's against anybody else, right? I've never been racist or anything like that. And I don't talk about stereotypes. I'm Cuban, okay? So we're always talking about that, right? But the thing is that, and I make fun of everybody, okay? Everybody, jokes about that I should have been, on the swim team in school because I was Cuban. But I say, hey, I was born here. But anyway, so now you're just going to have this reverse movement, which has been happening for the last 15 years or so, right? A lot of millennials and a lot of you guys, Zoomers, if you can move, are moving into cities that are being, with these, gentrification or these old brownstones. Like in places like New York, even though everybody's leaving Manhattan and leaving New York City, but a lot of other cities like in the Midwest and some in the South, places like Austin, places like Fort Lauderdale and Orlando and Tampa, they're moving, or Charlotte, they're moving into these cities in droves, and they're pushing out the other population that was there. That's just what happens. You just have this concentric zone of movement that just repeats in a cycle over and over again. So it's really going to backfire in both ways. That's just what it is. Which, in a what sense, it will be a good thing. Because now you have people that want to care about infrastructure, and they're going to be in these cities, and now they're going to want transit, right? So maybe that will help out in the future, right? But that's my analysis on this, right? That's really what's going to happen. So this whole thing about equity and whatnot, yeah, I agree with it. We need transportation. If we have transportation, look, everybody, even if you're super rich in New York, right? A lot of people take the subway. It's a lot faster and a lot cheaper than taking a taxi. Even though the subway is compared to other places is not, it's not the safest place, and it's not, the greatest of transportation systems compared to, let's say, the Tokyo or Korean subway system, or even the European systems like the ones in Madrid or the UK or whatnot. It's still a lot better than what's available and what exists. Okay, so this type of thing, hopefully in the future, it's going to become a thing, right? That's really what we got to talk about there. And now in the Midwest now we're talking about that. So let's take a break over here and let's take some callers. Let's go ahead. Let's take some callers. 8:40. We didn't run on time, but hey, that's what it is.
That's right. Everybody wants to see the train, baby.
Playing with that. Everyone in gear? Okay, here we are. All right. So who is in the queue? Okay. Oh, I'm in. Oh, there we are. Let me get back into the live stream here. All right. Let's go ahead. We're gonna put Ryan Rail into next in line, and we're gonna let him know that he's going to be next, and then we'll go from there. All right. And just make sure, guys. All right. We want everybody to have a chance to be able to speak their mind. So I'll try to be brief too. I'll just try to listen to you and respond if you have a question and see what you got to say. So we'll be able to go ahead and get information flowing. That's all. That's what we're all about here, right? We just want people to be able to share and speak on their mind, because we're a club. We're the American Rail Club for a reason. We want to get everybody's mind on here, okay? We're not going to be like some other places that, you'll comment on there and they won't listen to your question and whatnot, and they'll just ignore you, okay? I'm not naming names or anything like that. There's a whole bunch of other places that do that. So we're the fun guys, right? So let's go ahead. Ryan Rail is going to be next in line, so let's go ahead and put him there. All right, Ryan Rail. Ryan Rail, you are up, man. Ryan Rail, can you hear me? This doesn't work too well. Oh, Ryan Rail's gone. Okay. Let's go ahead. Crowbar K is going to be next. All right. I know some of you guys, so we'll share out some good news, because some of you guys have won stuff. Good news, we got a P.O. box, and we got that set up this week. Finally, it's been finalized today. So we finally got the P.O. box set up and ready to go. So starting Monday, we're finally going to get started. I thought we were going to get stuff going out this week, but we still had a couple things to get through. So Crowbar K, you are next. Hello, Crowbar K, you are on.
Hello, you there?
Yeah, we can hear you. How you doing?
All right, let me just this.
You there?
But
All right. Yeah, I can hear you. You're a little low there. If you can bump up the volume or get closer to the mic, I can be able to hear you better, and everybody else can be able to hear you better.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Perfect. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
All right. So, what's up?
Just only thing I really wanted to say is, did you see the 50th anniversary locomotives that Amtrak bought?
The 50th, like the deliveries that they're putting out?
Yeah, and the new Siemens Chargers for the long distance train.
Yeah,
it was pretty nice.
I think we covered that in another stream, but let's go ahead and put it up so everybody else can see that. 50th anniversary, Amtrak deliveries. Yeah, these are really cool.
It says 40th anniversary at their stations, though.
Yeah, I don't know if it's still like that over in it's in Sanford, Florida. But yeah, okay, so this is what we're talking about here, guys, so you can be able to see. Here you are, Train Spotter the Light. Amtrak to unveil 6 special liveries for 50th anniversary. So yeah, these are one of them. There's the 50th one. Sort of like the Bloody Nose there. Phase 1, Phase 2, the Midnight Blue, Dash 8, Phase 3. There was actually a really good video that I found on YouTube that was talking about these Amtrak liveries, and this guy was going through the whole history of it. I gotta see if I can put that up there.
I think I might have saw that. Was that Amtrak Guy 365?
I think so. Let me just put that up there so everybody else can see. Yeah, if you guys have any videos and all this, again, we're a community, so we want to share things with everybody else. Anniversary liveries. Let's see. Let's see what I come up with. Paint scheme. There we are. I think it's it. Yeah, evolution of no. This was an Amtrak. There was another one. I think it was it. It wasn't in Train Simulator. It was somewhere else because this guy had one that was in the Train Simulator now.
Oh no. Ooh, this hair's looking good.
What the heck is that?
Oh.
I don't know. Something popped up on my phone. Yeah, that was weird. Okay. Oh, if YouTube just changed, I had it on the stream just to monitor, and then it changed up to some other stream. I don't know why. But yeah, let me see if I can find Amtrak anniversary liveries. It was a really good video. But yeah, I honestly do think, this was something that was really good. I think this is it. Amtrak Guide 365. I think this is it. Amtrak's iconography.
Yeah.
Yes, this was it. Okay. Yeah, this was it. Okay, so Amtrak's iconic iconography. Yeah, this was really good. And it came out on my suggestions just recently. I'm like, how come I've never seen this? So Amtrak Guide 365 here, yeah, he goes through everything, including, even the fonts that Amtrak use and everything, the reasoning behind the designs, what was behind them, when they had their hodgepodge of, phase one of equipment from all the other passenger rail companies. Yeah, this was a really good video. So I'll put this video, guys, I'll link this video here in the comments so you guys can be able to see it. So go ahead if you want to give Amtrak a shout out. Tell them I sent you. There you go. All right.
Also watch the Siemens Venture testing in Midwest. And
yeah. Everybody's talking about that Siemens Venture. Let's see. There we are. Something that was here we are, Venture test stream. Yeah, that was from 2 months ago. Let's go ahead and put that. It's from Peter Hotchgraff. Peter Hotchgraff. In Chelsea, Michigan. Here we are. There he goes. At least the horn sounds a heck of a lot better than the Avelias. Those are they sound like clown cars. I don't like the Avelias horns at all.
I am not one of those people that cares about what the horn sounds like.
Oh yeah, those are beautiful. Yeah, and they're a lot better. Look, these are the cars that Brightline uses. So these are they're really comfy. I don't know if they're going to be using the same seats or exactly the same sort of order. They probably will. It's cheaper for them to just keep it to the same layout. But yeah, these are fantastic, and it's about time because those old fleets were just awful, man. I mean, they looked like they're literally cars from like the 70s and 80s. But I like retro, but not when the retro's uncomfortable and crusty and smelly. Nobody does.
I like I actually kind of like the livery. It looks kind of like a Deutschbahn. Kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, it's a bit more modern. But yeah, it's good that at least we're moving forward in this. So I mean, yeah, maybe we'll be starting to see these a lot more now. These Amtrak liveries come out. Anything else, Crowbar, or you're all good?
No, I just wanted to say that I've been watching your videos for years. I believe one of the first ones I saw was the 5 things you can and can't do on Amtrak.
Oh, man.
Horrors of coach segment still cracks me up to this day.
Yeah, oh, man. If you're riding in coach on Amtrak, you're basically not going to sleep because literally there was somebody next to me that was just snoring her rear end off. I mean, it was just, the whole entire night. She's just...
This guy coughs again.
And then the guy's just coughing there. He's watching some sort of movie on his laptop, and he's just coughing. He's like, coof before the coof. It was just bad. But yeah, sometimes you get passengers that are really good. Sometimes you just don't. It is what it is. But yeah, but thank you for so much for just being on here for so long, man. And yeah, I got you down for sending I still have it here, so I got all these things I'm gonna send over. So I still got your train ready to go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be sending that in. And yeah, we'll be creating a whole lot of stuff over here. So for those of you guys who have been looking, we've been creating, if you've seen the last videos, we've been creating a whole bunch of ARC-themed trained whistles. So we got them all here. They're going to be cleaned soon, so we can, make sure that everybody's not putting, getting germs in their whistles or anything like that, or plastic fragments or anything like that. But yeah, these are ARC-themed train whistles. So we have 12 of them here that we're going to be giving out to patrons and people who have won them. So 6 are going out to patrons. So if you're a patron of the of American Rail Club, you're going to be able to get one of these. Or we're going to also be giving out 6 more on some of these live streams. All right. So, but thank you so much, Crowbar, for being on board. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
No problem.
All right. All right. So, next on the call is going to be our friend from Virginia. It's Eric. Here we are. Eric, you are on.
Well, hello there.
Hey there. How's it going, man?
You know what's going? It's going outstanding.
I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to hear. What's up, man?
Really, I'm doing fine. The website, unfortunately, I'm going to have to put the brakes on that for a while because, again, as I mentioned before, it's just my life has also gotten a bit more hectic now.
Yeah, it's what it is with school and everything. It's what it is. But yeah, anything on these articles or anything, any news near you that you want to share about or anything?
Oh, not much, but we do have a governor's race going on. We have a pretty big governor's race.
Oh, in Virginia.
Yeah, given that we're the only major election over on the East Coast. So, I haven't been researching some of their the candidates' transit policies over in Northam's, which if you're over here, he's a bit he doesn't know where to stand on. He just doesn't know.
Yeah, which is like most Democrats. I mean, they'll talk a good game about transportation and transit, and then once they get into office, they just completely forget about it.
The tunnel extension.
Yeah. I mean, they'll do some small things here and there. Most governors will do something like that, something small here and there. But yeah, most governors are not going to be, super duper infrastructure, friendly and just be like, yeah, let's go ahead and get this done. But I mean, what about the other candidate? Or they haven't really put out anything. I'm pretty sure they're going into primaries now, right?
There is this. They are, but there's this very. They haven't been going in the news recently. There's this, but we have a sort of a nutball on the Republican Party. Like, not now. If anyone's Republican on there, please do not be offended about this.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Yeah, most of us Republicans now don't really, or most people who are conservative are not really fans of the Republican Party, so not to worry.
Okay, so we have a candidate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's really important to get stuff like this done. Actually, I don't know if it's going to be in. Well, I don't know it's going to be in Virginia, but this is very important from the Maglev, DC Maglev. Sorry to interrupt you here, but yeah, go ahead and look what you were looking for. But
yeah.
The Northeast Maglev is going to be having. I put it out on the group, so they need help on a petition, in this area. To let me see, where is it?
Oh,
I had it here.
Speaking of that, hey, sorry to interrupt, but
sure.
I found her out. It was have you ever heard of Amanda Chase? Anyone in the?
No, not familiar.
She is a crazy Q nutty. That you will not believe how Q nutty she is. She is nuttier than school. Than the entire region's population of squirrels. She's full Q nutter. She's essentially like Marjorie Taylor Greene. She actually appeared at the Capitol riots. I think she did.
Yeah,
I don't know if she.
Yeah, there's some people like that. I mean, hey, look, it's what it is. But probably somebody like that is not going to come out with any robust transportation plan. I mean, they're still stuck on trying to get, or they think Trump is going to come back in August. Yeah, that's BS. He's gonna come back. Everybody, Patriots are in charge. Yeah, what a crack. But yeah, look, this is why it's important to get into. Really in local politics, because you have stuff like this. So this is from the Northeast Maglev. I put this out on Twitter. I'm trying to play a little bit more with Twitter and on Facebook on the group. But for you guys who don't know, I'm going to put this out also in the comments, so you can go ahead and sign this. This is very important. So you have this county over here that's trying to push out this sort of NIMBY resolution to try to kill the Northeast Maglev between DC and Baltimore. So a little bit, a little bit north in your neck of the woods there, Eric. But, it's stuff like this. Resolution 2421. So basically it's a NIMBY sort of thing to, say you can't have the Northeast Maglev over here. Very similar to stuff that they've tried to do in Texas or in Florida towards those projects there.
They're really Neds and... So, yeah, the Neds and Nellies are going out all after this stuff.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have one of those little mini treasure coast over in central Virginia. Have you ever heard of Ashland? It's a pretty nice...
Have not.
It's a pretty nice city. It's right where the trains go through. It's a very beautiful little town. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a mini NIMBY stronghold in that region. Like, I've seen people say, like, no to high-speed trains, no to this, no to that. Like... And I don't think high-speed rail's ever going to go through Ashland. It's probably just going to go around it. Because, like, I'll show... Like, there's pictures of Ashland around there. And, like, just type in... Go on Google and type in Ashland, Virginia.
Yeah. We'll probably do that another time because we're trying to get into... We have a lot of people in the queue, man. But, look, I appreciate it. And, look, you bring up a very good point. It is very important to be vigilant about the candidates in... not just in our local area, but in our state as well, because this is really what's going to affect building transit, here in the United States or not. That's really what it's going to be about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, this is going to be, like, in the case of Florida, like, even in the case of, say, generally, Florida Republicans are still heavily opposed to any sort of taxpayer funding for any sort of transit besides roads or airports.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that, DeSantis, in a way, supports Brightline. But, of course, you have a lot of these, conservative Inc. Republicans that are against Brightline because they're either... Most of the constituents are in the Treasure Coast and whatnot, and they're still salty about the whole, we're trying to get... Brightline on safety because it's not a safe way of transportation or whatnot. Well, everybody's dying left and right on US 1 every day. I mean, come on, there's like at least 12 people dead, a dozen dead on, just the Miami stretch of US 1 every day.
Yeah. NPR did something about, like, there was this, they did an article, they did like a little I want to call it a podcast, but they did a recording of it, and they talked with the NIMBY groups, which, in my opinion, that is one of the worst NPR little recordings they ever did.
Yeah. Well, yes. If you can, send me that, because I'm probably going to do a video soon about talking about NIMBYs at some point, because it does need to be talked about. But thank you again, Eric, for coming on. I really...
Make sure to include the words Neds and Nellies.
Yes, Neds and Nellies. NIMBY Ned, NIMBY Nelly. Yeah, that's a funny thing.
Yeah. Also, did you hear the news that that Raul is resigning?
Yeah, it's not going to change anything in Cuba. I mean, look, most of my family doesn't care anymore. It's like, we're gone. We're not doing anything with that. We all consider ourselves Americans. That country is completely dead and ruined. So I mean, at this point, it's like, nobody has any plans to go back, or everybody we know there is either dead or missing. So it's what it is.
Dead, missing. You know what?
Yeah. Pretty terrible.
Cuba is not. Yeah, it's horrible what's going on with Cuba.
Yeah.
Cuba is the only good thing we'd had before in the 90s was, like, which is steam locomotives and old-fashioned MiGs.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, makes from the Russians, and then these old trains that they were still running from the 1890s. Yeah, that's basically what it was. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
they were doing pretty well before. I mean, they had the second lowest infant mortality rate in the world, and they had they were the second country to have color TV after the United States. I mean, they were pretty advanced, and then went to crap. But that's hey, it's what happens. The same thing to Venezuela and whatnot.
I can talk about how Cuba fell to communist study all day, but
and another time, Eric. Thank you again for coming on. I appreciate it, man. Take care.
Just have a wonderful rest of your night.
You too. All right, we're going to take one more caller, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to the rest of the articles we have, because we have some bit more to go, and it's 9 o'clock, so we're halfway there and living on a prayer. Although you can kind of say that we're in hard times. All right, so Neon Escapist, you are on.
Good evening, Demetrius. Can you hear me all right?
I can. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How you? What's up?
I'm dialing in from good old Washington State.
Washington State, in the Cascadia region.
Cascadia region, indeed. We're kind of in the preliminary process of trying to get a high-speed rail link through here.
Yeah.
Definitely taking some time, but we're hoping to get things going.
Yeah,
sure.
That's the one everybody's talking about, that Bill Gates is pushing a study for, high-speed rail between Portland and Vancouver, which is funny. I haven't really heard that much from it, or, I haven't really gotten that much news from it, because it doesn't seem, it seems it's still just more in the planning stage and in the funding stage for planning, or correct me if I'm wrong here. Is that really where it's still on?
Yeah, very much so. It's very much kind of gone under the radar when it comes to the national discussion. It's definitely still in the study phase. They just released a report last December that would basically, they called it the quote-unquote framework for the future, where it just kind of gave some advice as to where to go from there, how to build up the partnership between Oregon State, Washington State, and British Columbia. And so what happens next is most likely going to be another study to create an authority or whatever, an alliance, so to speak, between the three jurisdictions.
You're right.
So,
yeah, and that's something like that, especially in that region. Again, it's a much more left-leaning area. So something like that for transportation would probably be locally government funded, maybe some federal funding, and that could very much push on. Very similar to California. Hopefully, it doesn't become bogged down like the California system. But yeah, this is okay. I found an article over here that could probably work. This came out from 23 days ago on March 24th. But yeah, this looks like it's starting to move forward in the pipeline. But yeah, so Eugene, Portland, Seattle, Spokane, Washington, and Vancouver in British Columbia, Canada. So that whole region right there. This is something, this is what we're looking for. You can't just jump into a big nationwide network and infrastructure and just say, oh yeah, we're done. It's got to be done in parts. In regions like this, once you connect in regions, then you can start connecting in between other regions.
Yeah, it's very much we're trying to prove the political feasibility of it at this point. Not just the political feasibility of it, but also like the technical feasibility of it. I believe that that the goal is that they're trying to have at least part of the funding coming in from Seattle-based tech firms such as Microsoft, such as Amazon, because those were the ones that were originally pushing for it, and they were pushing for it very, very, very hard, especially in the state legislature. What was interesting, though, was that I might be wrong on this, but I have not really heard much of talking about it from the state legislature this session. We've definitely talked a lot about infrastructure. We've talked a lot about transit. It's very much it's rather a big argument going through the state legislature at this point. We've got a House bill that wants to go one way, and we've got a Senate bill that wants to go the opposite way. The Senate bill wants more highway spending, highway widening, stuff like that, and the House bill wants to scrap all the highway stuff and have more transit and stuff like that. And they're going to have to come up with a compromise by the end of the session. Otherwise, they're not going to have anything.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It looks like here there's a tweet here from Representative Liz Berry in Washington. Fascinating briefing today in House Transportation Committee on Cascadia Rail Vision for a Region. Seattle's the third largest city in the country where people waste 3 hours a day commuting. Yeah, and then you put that over 365 days. I mean, people are wasting half their life, more or less in the car.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And it was never envisioned to be like that. This is not the American dream that people wanted. It was to live in the suburbs and everybody have a rat race and waste their time getting into the city. It's terrible. We want to have the cities to be a place that people can just live, work, and be able to move on. And if you want to live in a place that's more rural and whatnot, yeah, more power to you. You can be able to have a connection to be able to go into the city whenever you want to. You don't have to be driving in hours and hours on end. So that's really going to get down there. But I do appreciate this Neon Escapist because I really got to look into this. And there hasn't been much done on it. And I think if we can probably do a video or something on it, or if I can try to get in contact with these guys from Cascadia Rail, that will be something
a good place to start would definitely be the local, the state advocacy group. They're called All Aboard Washington. And they've been advocating not only for the Vancouver, Seattle, Portland, Eugene link, but also the East-West link, the Spokane, Seattle link.
Yeah.
They've been doing it for a long time, and I think that if you reached out to them for an interview, they'd be more than happy to talk with you.
Definitely. All right, we're going to put that in the pipeline. But I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right. So that is it right here, folks, for calls right now. But if you're interested in getting on the call, we'll go ahead and get you in the queue and next in line and get that all set up. So I'm doing a little better with this. I'm doing a little better. It's 9:07 now, so we're halfway there. We are halfway there. So yeah, we're going to be able to look at all this and see what we can do. Let's go on to the next article over here. 5 Midwest mayors urge federal officials to support Amtrak expansion. This is what really this whole type of having a coalition of local politicians to work on that is finally something that they can do that's actually going to do good, right? So you have the mayor of Madison, Wisconsin, Satya Rhodes Conway. I guess she was Indian and married to a white dude. I don't know. there's a lot of that happening. Mayors of Milwaukee, Chicago, St. Paul, Minneapolis urge federal officials to support extending Amtrak's passenger rail line through the upper Midwest. All right. Rhodes Conway, along with mayors Tom Barrett, Lori Lightfoot, Melvin Carter, and Jacob Frey, wrote in a letter to the U.S. Department of Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, who's also from the Midwest, from the Hoosier State over here, but he's from the South Bend, and the Federal Railroad Administration, that enhanced passenger rail service would improve regional connections between our major urban centers and reduce stress on the environment. So this is good. This is the type of stuff we want, right? Is now having mayors, having politicians, local politicians, state politicians, be able to now get together in a coalition in the region to be able to push the federal government and say, hey, if you're going to be doing this whole funding thing, we have a plan right here. We have everything set up. If they can get that done, because that's what they need. If this coalition of mayors can be able to come up with a plan and come up with a study and say, hey, if we could be able to have this much funding for Amtrak, having it sort of similar to the Wolverine service that they did, up in Wisconsin to be, 110 miles an hour. If they can be able to do that, right, to have more frequent service, possibly a new high-speed rail service, like for example, between a Chicago hub to, maybe Chicago to Indianapolis or Chicago to Madison, Wisconsin, places like that. Or to Milwaukee, you can be able to create something that would be able to have not just now a goal and a plan, but be able to work on top of that to be able to expand through the region. It makes sense if they can be able to do that. The thing is here that we'll go over that too. That the new funding thing is they basically changed it from target grants to build grants to now raise grants. So they just changed the name of it, but it's the same thing more or less. But it's basically what it is. As mayors, we now believe that the time for transformative investment in our nation's infrastructure that will benefit our residents for generations to come. The letter dated April 9 states, modernizing and enhancing passenger rail must play a key part in our national transportation system in the 21st century and beyond. All right, that's good. They're thinking about not just this generation, but the next generation after that, right? That's what we want to do. The letter comes after Amtrak released the plans for 2035 that includes Madison as part of up to 30 or more new routes tied to President Joe Biden's recently announced $2 trillion plan. All right, so this is all good, right? Everybody's a fan of it and whatnot. So hopefully, if it becomes more than just a letter, if it becomes now a concrete plan that has different phases, like, first we're going to connect Chicago to Milwaukee, and then we're going to connect, down from, Chicago down to Indianapolis, and then from Milwaukee up to, Wisconsin, then that starts to make sense, right? That's what you got to do. Or to Minnesota, that's what you got to do. I was going to say from Milwaukee to there we go. That's what we got to do. All right. So having something like that is really what it is, right? Because it's the future. It's what's going to happen. So this is from our friends at the High Speed Rail Alliance. The haters are in denial, but trains and transit are the future. We've been saying that for a while. Most of our generation is sick and tired of being in the car. Okay, millennials and Zoomers, we're sick and tired of having to pay a ridiculous amount of money for cars. The auto industry will do whatever it takes in order to keep us on the dole, not just for paying the ridiculously high interest rates, to keep paying for monthly leases on cars that are becoming more increasingly expensive to own and to repair. But they've also will do things like cash for clunkers, which they'll go ahead and take out used cars that have from used cars from like the 80s and 90s that from Toyotas or anything that was just inexpensive. And all you have to do is just put oil in it, and it will last to 500,000 miles. Okay, and you can buy those cars for like $800, and you have a beater that will just keep moving it on, right? So they did something like that, like cash for clunkers, which was pushed by Obama, and made cars even more expensive. All right, so that's what the auto industry wants. They want this perpetual motion of just having cash flow in and keeping all these cars in. And they're having a problem with this because now they can't sell vehicles enough, and everybody's trying to buy used vehicles. And the used car market is now becoming more expensive. Okay, so the grand scheme of things, apparently in this decade we're going to see the auto industry fail again. Okay, and at that point we do not want another bailout for the auto industry. Okay, if GM is dead, GM is dead. Okay, let it die. Let it die. It is way too no more too big to fail. Let it die. You know what's too big to fail? The American people. The American people have had enough, and they're no more. Okay? This is what we need to work on. Trains and transit. Trains and transit are the future of this country and for this generation and the next generations on. Public transit is thriving globally. The world is building mass transit networks faster than ever before. Greater than ever before. Bloomberg City Lab observed in 2018. And ridership is increasing to match. Okay, now of course with the coof and with the with Corona Chan spreading her havoc across, whether you think the virus is killing people or not, the reality is that governments are still freaked out. People are still freaked out about it. So whether you think it's real or not, we're still in this. There are still lockdown orders for places. Even the mask mandates. They lifted the mask mandate here in Indiana. However, in Marion County, Indianapolis, they have not lifted the mask mandate. So some people don't even care anymore at this point. But it's what it is. Now the next thing is going to be these vaccines. So whether you agree with the vaccines or not, that's the next point of contention. But the thing is that if we don't get past this whole lockdown issue, if we don't get people back to work, transit and trains are not going to work in this country. Okay? So we need to get rid of that. We need to end this whole virus thing, either kill off the virus or get people back to work, all right? Or herd immunity, whatever it is. People need to get back to work, okay? How it's done, that's not for me to decide, all right? I'm not a doctor, Jim. It's what it is. I'm not a bricklayer. I'm a doctor, but I'm not a doctor, okay? That's what it is. This is true even though public transit is the greatest wealth multiplier in our cities, as the Strong Towns blog recently noted. Yeah, it's true. And it should be the heart of every local wealth building strategy. Instead, it's funded like a charity, which has been the problem, but thankfully now in this new bill, hopefully they give a lot more to the trains. Again, I'm very concerned about this whole electric car stuff because I see it as a sneaky way for an earmark for the big three to be able to collect a whole lot of what would be bailout money later on. That's what I'm really afraid of. Okay, so we got to be careful about that. So keep in line with that. So I support electric cars. I think they're great. I've driven plenty of Teslas, as you guys have seen in the channel, and I think they have their place. However, the problem is that Tesla, when they got their money, when they got their Obama bucks in order to go ahead and build their electric car factory, they got their money and they paid it back. Funny thing, Tesla paid back every single cent of their loan back to the federal government. General Motors, a 100-year-old or more institution of this great United States of America, has basically swindled the American people of $50 billion that we will never see a cent of. Oh, well, at least the Federal Reserve is not going to see that back in their interest rate payments. That's the reality. That's where taxes go. But not to get too much into that. But let's go on. It's the truth, though. One big factor is the false distinction between public transportation and the private transportation sector. In truth, every major transportation mode in the U.S. is a huge federal program. In a sense, it is because it's because of federal laws that these programs are able, or these projects are able to move about, right? Or to get these grants and loans. Just like Brightline was able to get their loans from the state of Florida, right? From the FDFC, from the Florida Department of Finance Committee. They were able to get those public activity bonds and be able to get those sold on the public market so they can be able to fund their operation, be able to fund their construction, and get that moving, right? So it's because of that they can be able to facilitate large, state-backed bonds and loans, right? Japan does this. Every other country does something like this, right? That's very normal. And that's a good thing, okay? That's a good thing to have that available there for you, for a nation to have that, right? That's actually real corporatism in a sense. If you really look at it, what we have in this country is a corporatocracy. That's not corporatism. It's a corporatocracy oligarchy, but that's what it is. Corporatism is a whole different thing, and that essentially is a practice that's is positive more for the nation. And of course, airlines got $79 billion. Let's continue this. Each one is massively subsidized by taxpayers. The rideshare companies, often touted as alternatives to public transit, are among the most heavily subsidized of all. So Uber and Lyft, they get a lot of government money. They pay their drivers absolute diddly squat. They treat their drivers like garbage, and they still get federal money. And their CEOs are raking in billions of dollars. And of course, the airlines got $79 billion in bailout money just in the past year, right? Chad Airlines just walked away with the money, and Amtrak got a couple $1 million. as the New York Times noted, that's par for the course. We often socialize the airlines' losses and privatize their profits, this is what I'm talking about. This is what's wrong. This is what libertarians and lolberts well, the lawbirds, okay, they're not really real libertarians. They're fake. They're corporate, libertarians that are just getting a whole bunch of lobbyist money. This is the problem. The airlines, the roadways, they get funded like crazy. Even a lot of noted conservatives, for the longest of time, have noticed this hypocrisy. It's like, you cannot be for privatization, and you're okay with the road getting billions of dollars in taxpayer funds. That doesn't make any sense. But anytime you want to just get a smidgen of that money to Amtrak, oh, you can't do that. Amtrak is supposed to act like a private company. Amtrak is supposed to act like a private company, and their little bow ties, sitting there on K Street in Washington, lobbying for the Koch brothers. That's basically what they're doing. It's what it is. It's fair to say they're as much as a part of our public transit infrastructure as any bus or commuter rail system. Yeah, it's what it is. Look, if it's going to be that way, then let's go ahead and balance the board. Balance the board. Make it easy. If this country is all about laissez-faire economics, which is a complete, not really working so well, but if this whole country is about having choices, then let the public choose. Let it be an even playing field. Either give everybody the same amount of funding, or don't give anybody any funding at all, and let the best player win in any situation. Okay? Now, countries do this, and countries regulate it, over where they are, which we'll look at what's going on in France and in the Czech Republic. I keep trying not to say Czechoslovakia because it's something hard. Like if you grew up in the 90s, you keep saying Czechoslovakia, and then it's the Czech Republic. It's what it is. It's a beautiful place. I've never been there. I've always wanted to go there, at least in the last 2 years. Let's see. Even so, traditional transit system buses and commuter rails are often singled out as examples of wasted taxpayer dollars. Chicago Tribune writer Steve Chapman published a doozy of this genre this week, lamenting the Biden administration's proposed investments in train transit as blue sky vision. Blue sky vision. He thinks the Biden plan, which calls for investing in $85 billion in transit and $80 billion in Amtrak and other railroads, is, quote, the perfect strategy for an era that has passed. Here we go. The era has passed. Where there is no... trains are old technology. We don't want your little choo-choo trains. No, every other country that has their high-speed train. No, we don't want those choo-choo trains. It's the future, buddy, and the future's looking bright. Bright line. It's what it is. That's going to be the future, folks. We know that, okay? He thinks the Biden plan, which calls for investing in $85 billion in transit and $80 billion in Amtrak and other railroads, is the perfect strategy for an era that has passed, especially since their ridership declined sharply during the pandemic. Has anybody else's not? These guys are talking out of two different mouths, okay? Yet everybody has been not driving as much during the pandemic. Does that mean, cars are an old thing? Nobody has been driving their cars during the pandemic. We have to get rid of it. This is ridiculous. I'm not going to even look at this article. I mean, I probably should, just to be fair. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's all word for word, just exactly as it comes out here. This is insane. I can't see the mouse over here. These glasses are polarized. For $20 for basically pit vipers, probably made in the same company by by the Chinese, and they're all made in China anyway. But hey, this is pretty good. Yeah, there you go. Let's see. Naturally doesn't claim that flying and driving represent a bygone era because people flew and drove less during the pandemic. Exactly. I just said that. That argument makes no sense, whether it's applied to flying or driving or trains and transit. I'm pretty sure Steve Chapman is right on board with the Cato Institute. Supporting slave labor. So you can have a 4-year-old Vietnamese kid make your Nike sneakers and lose 5 fingers. They're okay with that. But not okay with bringing infrastructure, manufacturing back into the United States, which is what we really need. That's what we really need. We broke it. We can fix it. Well, the last generation did, and we can fix it. But, hey, look, there are good boomers there. First, when we spend money to make any transportation mode more convenient and accessible, people use it. Highway funding proves this point again and again. We put more money into new highway lanes to fight congestion. New lanes incentivize more people to use the highways. That's called induced traffic. The congestion increases, or induced capacity. What's the word, guys? Help me out here in the comments. Speaking of, I haven't looked in the comments in a bit. Should Medicare pay for some of the transportation? I do agree. Look, that's another thing I don't agree with this plan. They have a big bulk of this plan to helping out the seniors. Which, look, I'm all okay with helping out the seniors. The problem is, the thing is, in this country, especially this generation, they're just throwing old people into these homes where they just get abused and they just die alone, which is terrible. This didn't used to happen before. Older people and older folks used to live, and in some ways it's kind of, there's a lot of boomers, and there were some articles that came out that there was this one boomer that they interviewed, which a lot of them do this, that they're just spending all their savings on themselves, and this older lady was boasting about the fact that, like, I'm not going to leave my children a single penny by the time I die. That is my goal. That's terrible, And that's the thing, it's been a selfish generation, and then it makes the next generation, either depressed or more selfish, and then it just keeps going on, and it's an endless vicious cycle. So what really needs to happen, instead of putting billions of dollars to go and help out the old folks, if we can put billions of dollars to help the younger folks be able to afford homes and be able to afford to have time. So if you can just have one person in the family, whether, look, I'm not going to talk about, men's rights or women's rights or whatever. I'm not going to be talking about that. But how it used to be before, and of course it used to be the guy back then. You can have one man, and working. His wife can stay at home watching, their 5 or 10 kids or whatever. And the guy was working as a janitor in a factory. Okay? We want that to happen back now, whether it's the guy stay at home or the mom goes to work, it doesn't matter. But what needs to happen is to be able to have jobs. Equity, you want to talk about equity? There we go. Let's have equity where you have one person in the family go ahead and make the money, and you can have one person at home take care of the home, and they can stay at home and whatnot, and be able to take care of the family, and the old folks can be able to be there with their family and their grandchildren and whatnot. That's how it used to be before, and that's the way it works. And psychologically, it's a lot better for people, right? Everybody is alone without having transit. No, everybody's in their cars. Nobody's interacting with anybody else. You don't have this interaction in cities because you can go a whole day in a city without talking to anybody. You can just go from your car, go to the parking space, go up to your cubicle, go work, and then go right back to your car and go right back home without talking to a single soul. That's a problem. You cannot have that. We need to have a better social aspect in this country. There's a book called Bowling Alone that I read a couple years ago. That's a really good book on how this country is falling apart psychologically. Look, we need this. So again, all these articles are going to be linked over in the description once we're done with this stream. 9:27. We're doing good. We're moving along. So let's go ahead. Let's look at this article. So this was pretty good from the Fresno Bee. Why is this not working? Reload. Is this even a video? I guess not. I guess no video, guys, but let's look at the article here. I'm the video. Look at me. I'm the video now. The mammoth construction project was too costly, the critics said. This is about California. Besides that, it was going to be too disruptive, environmentally harmful, and an unfair burden for taxpayers. Certainly, such criticisms have been leveled against California's bullet train project in recent years, but in this case, those opposing views were against none other than the Golden Gate Bridge. Now, one of California's preeminent landmarks and most photographed objects known around the world, the Golden Gate Bridge faced strong opposition when it was proposed by Joseph Strauss in the 1920s. Okay, and again, this is the point that's been going on. You have a lot of people that go ahead and say these projects are boondoggles, or nobody's going to use them, or it's a giant, complete waste of money. You can't be doing something like that. And then you see years later on, it works. Hey, the same thing happened to the Shinkansen. If you looked at their video about the Shinkansen, everybody was calling everybody on that project nuts. They thought they were nuts. It's like, nobody's going to be using trains here in Japan. We're moving forward into the future. We're now going to have highways and everybody's going to have cars. And they're like, no, we have way too many people in the cities. This is the fastest way to get trains. If not, we're going to have to be having, a dozen planes leaving the airport every 5 minutes in order to get that going? To move the same amount of people? No. And look at what happened. Within 10 years of the Shinkansen first opening up in 1964, not only did it pay off its debt, but it moved the most amount of people ever in the history of the planet in more time than anywhere else. Okay, and granted, Tokyo is the most dense and most populated city in the world. It's been that way since the 1600s. I mean, they had 1 million people in that city in the mid to late 1600s when it was called Edo, because I took Japanese history. But I mean, it's a massive city, and the same thing with Osaka. which is about 300 miles away. So you have this connection now between these two cities, and now you can facilitate a massive amount of travel with a large amount of capacity in what? Turnover time, turnaround time of two minutes. Okay, you have one train in the station, you have about 1,000 people in one train, boom. 2 minutes later, another train comes in. I mean, it's incredible how they're on the second over there to do that. And it's been 50 years, running. Okay? It's a testament to, yes, if you're able to do that, and you do it right, and you do it in a place that's going to make sense, okay? Because you don't want to put high-speed rail or any rail transportation system in a place that doesn't make sense, because not only you're going to waste a whole bunch of money, it's going to look bad, and then you're going to make more NIMBYs. That's how they multiply. They multiply out of the air like that. But that's the type of thing that we want, right? Something like that example. Okay, that's why I specifically and keep pushing on the Japanese example, right? It makes sense. Of course, they talk about Trump against the rail project. He wasn't against the rail project specifically. He was just against the governor there in California, and he wanted to really mess around with him, saying, "Oh, you're not going to fund the wall, then I'm not going to fund your train project." That's basically what he did. But with his leaving the White House, there was new hope among rail supporters for better backing by President Joe Biden. Amtrak Joe. And their hopes might be realized. Biden we know this, he supports the plan. Buttigieg says $80 billion devoted to rail improvements. Very good. Okay. Now again, I have not been a fan of what they're doing over here. Fresno to Bakersfield, I think, is a massive mistake. I can go on and on again for years, and we'll go on back and forth, but so far I've been right. They should have done LA to San Diego. I mean, heck, even the Democrat representatives in the lower region of California, in the Los Angeles and San Diego region, are ticked off, and they want to take money away from the California high-speed rail project to support their own local rail projects. Okay, and that's the problem. They're doing it in an area which is more conservative, Fresno and Bakersfield. In the Central Valley, there's a lot more Republican voters over there, so of course they're going to be more against it. That's just the reality of it. And then it's like surprise Pikachu face. Oh, we built it in an area that people are not going to like it. How could that happen? Well, I can tell you how that's happened. It's what it is. Yeah. Bruh. I just wanted to play around with it. I haven't been playing around much with the soundboard as much. But yeah, hopefully, this will be good if they can be able to do that, right? Let's talk a little bit more about California over here. Again, another article here from the High Speed Rail Alliance. They've been doing very good now with bringing in a lot of articles right now. So I've been just, bouncing off what they're doing, 'cause a lot of them is good, and bouncing off whatever I have, also my own things. Because we try to keep the channel more broad and open of all types of transit and transportation. But yeah, look at that. California is not currently on track to meet the state's 2030 goals for greenhouse gas reductions. Despite all the draconian laws they have over there, oh wow, they're still choking on smog. Hey, it's you should have been building more trains in Los Angeles instead of more highways. How has that been going? This is an issue of climate justice and equity. The Central Valley has some of the worst air quality in the United States. California in general has the worst air quality in the United States, resulting in 1 in 6 children having asthma. Oh dear. A large contributor of this pollution is cars and diesel trucks. Yeah, and reducing the number of vehicles on the road will go a long way in improving pollution and health impact in the region. Yeah. Take cars off the road to cut harmful emissions. Okay, we know that. Investing in clean high-speed rail instead of highways and airports, which result in more harmful emissions. Okay? So this is the fact, right? If we support something, where did I lose it? If we want to be absolutely terrible with this, if California were to stop its high-speed rail project and divert all that to making more highways to serve the same capacity, they will easily spend double the money. But no one bats an eye. You can go ahead and spend double the money on railroads, and nobody bats an eye. But you go ahead and do that for half the amount of money for a high-speed rail project, and everybody loses their mind. That was my best Joker impression. I've done better ones. That was just off the cuff there. But yeah, it's true. I don't know if it mentioned that in the article. I don't think it did. Highway. Let's go ahead. No, they only mentioned highway once. Yeah, but it's true. If you took the amount of money and the amount of funds that have been, put in, or they, as the opponents say, wasted on the California high-speed rail project, they'll just waste double the amount of money and just put us even more further back into what we need to do. All right, that's what it is. Another thing from California. Now, I know California, I think, had a night train before from the Surfliner. I'm not quite sure if they still have it now, because they're asking that California needs a night train now. But this is hopefully, something that can happen really well, especially since California is a really long, large state, similar to how Florida is, but except it's, bigger and longer. And, it will take you 8 hours to get from LA to San Francisco, two major cities. So if you have a night train, you're in Los Angeles and you gotta, meet your family or go work in San Francisco or whatnot, go ahead and you take a night train at 8 o'clock, you'll go ahead and fall asleep, and then, the next day at, 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, you go ahead and you're in San Francisco, and you wake up and, grab yourself an energy drink and be about your day. Oh man, this is just making me hungrier. I shouldn't be drinking these. The only thing is, I have a whole bunch of them, especially the Miami Cola ones. I love those because they taste like the iron beer, or as the Cubans call it down in Miami, iron beer, which is basically like a sort of it's a better tasting Coca-Cola. But yeah, I only drink these before my workouts. Because man, it doesn't make me crash or anything like that. Best energy drink I've had, so far. And I've had, I've tried some of them. Trust me, that some of them are just awful. It's the only one with creatine, too. Amtrak announced a vision plan late last month to add millions more passengers over the next 15 years. Okay, we know that. And Amtrak is expanding a lot over in places here like in California. Can we open this image here in a new tab and kind of zoom in? Can we? Yes, we can. Can we do it? Yes, we can. So, yeah, look, this is what they're trying to do. Now, some people have been going out there and talking about, why is Amtrak trying to, do a plan between Las Vegas and Los Angeles, or trying to do in the same places where Texas Central and Brightline are going? Number one, Amtrak does a lot of these maps. 90% of the time, they don't get done whatever they've said, mainly due to having a lack of funding and a lack of drive to actually do it. The second part is that with some of these, They will actually partner with some of these companies, like we've seen with Texas Central, to do, let's say, for example, ticketing services, or, maybe run alongside them or whatnot. So it's more of working together with these companies, where Amtrak has an opportunity, right? But, sort of the way that, my opinion, the way it should go is just to have an opening more competition. And maybe Amtrak can either just focus on the Northeast Corridor as it sells off different parts to either different companies or different organizations in these regions, so they can just better focus. Each region can just better focus on that. Yeah, that's really where the club started. Was I made a proposal to have Amtrak split up into 3 different groups. Different groups that only communicate with each other but only focus on their region. Be privatized and sort of work sort of like the Japanese, how the Japanese have done it, right? They have 7 JR companies in 7 different regions of Japan, and they're all private companies, and they communicate with each other, but they all are responsible for their own region, right? So something similar to that. Now, I know we're going to have to adapt a little bit better, and that was me speaking when I was 19 years old in college, but hey, me 19 years old back in college had more sense than probably all of Congress combined. Probably not kidding with that. Let's be honest. Yeah, I boast a lot, but you know what? It's true. That's what it is. So, yeah, California does need something like that. Having a European sleeper car. Let's go back on that. It's unclear when California Regional Train would bid that grab, said Rob Paget, Managing Director of the Capital Corridor, Joint Powers Authority. The segment is in California State Rail Plan as an improvement corridor, but is neutral on who would be the operator in that corridor. I just said this. The Amtrak map that came out was really a statement about rail can be in the country. Yeah, that's what it is. They put a lot of Charlotte to Atlanta sounds like a good idea, or Las Vegas to Los Angeles sounds like a good idea. And then all the local papers, go crazy. It's like, could Amtrak come back to, Puxatawny, somewhere in the middle of nowhere? I don't know. I'm not judging anybody who lives there or in any area. Or like, will Amtrak come back to our little neck in the woods or something like that? So, you can't be, get too crazy about that, because then you're just talking about stuff that may or may not happen. And then Amtrak, as we've seen in the last 50 years, Amtrak will plan this, and then they go to Congress, and Congress gives them a pittance. Hopefully not this time. Let's see. We've heard it before. We've heard it before from Mr. Hope and Change. So I don't know. Let's see. So look at this. Meanwhile, the Europeans are rolling out more and more overnight sleeper trains in an effort to curb emissions on corridors that take too long, even at high speeds, to compete with airplanes. The latest edition will run overnight between Brussels and Berlin. As reported in the International Railway Journal, the services will be the second to connect the Belgian and German capitals, after European Sleeper also announced that it will introduce an international night train service from Brussels via Antwerp, Rotterdam, Amsterdam, Berlin, and Dresden to Prague around the same time. This comes on the heels of the large expansion of overnight night jet trains operated by the Austrian National Railway, OBB, or Österreich, whatever B means and whatever the next B means. Okay, I can't speak German. Holly does a bit. Because actually there's a lot of German speakers here in Indiana. After I was looking at a map that was the second amount of immigrants coming into the United States after Mexico or whatnot, because Mexico, Mexicans are moving into most of the United States. If you look at the maps, it just has the Mexican flag on most of every other state in the United States, except for Florida, which is the Cuban flag still. But in most of these places in Indianapolis, you still have a lot of Germans moving over here. Or after English and Spanish, the third most spoken language here in Indiana is German. Who knew? I don't know how much longer that's for the speak. Again, most people who speak German, speak English anyway. Can't really say the same for native Spanish speakers coming into the United States. Trust me, I have firsthand experience. Of all these night trains offer the ability to have a drink, crawl into a cozy bed, and wake up at one's destination in the morning. Yeah, and look, my family has done stuff like this. We all, got the big roomette. Well, not the roommate. We all got the big sleeper. Well, we got roomettes too. We usually sometimes get two roomettes, one for me and my brother to sleep in, and one for my mom and dad to sleep in. And they're nice and comfy. I mean, I've gone some of the best sleeping on Amtrak trains. There's something about the movement of the train. There's something about the clickety-clack of the tracks. Well, not the clickety-clack. You don't want the clickety-clack of the tracks, but there's something about the movement of the train, just having that movement and having the distant sounds of the horns just lull you to sleep. There's just something comforting about it. I'm pretty sure there's something psychological about it. I don't know. Maybe it has to do, when, a baby gets cradled or something like that, and it's just something in our minds for the last whatever, evolution, that type of stuff. I don't know. Again, I'm not a psychologist. So Amtrak is getting on this game. This month it added private sleeping accommodations on an overnight train between D.C. and Boston. One boards a train at Union Station at 10 p.m., arriving at Boston South Station at 7:58 a.m. Yeah, that's pretty good. Passengers are giving a free drink as they board and get breakfast in bed on the other end. Is that included? That's pretty good. As Amtrak's marketing says about overnight service, instead of catching a red eye, get some shut eye. That's a good one. So yeah. This is the type of stuff that I'm saying that can happen. Okay, if Amtrak is able to do a good service in an area, they can now be able to expand not just from the base services that they offer, right? The base passenger services. Now they can be able to offer more upgraded services and different services, not just the cruise trains that a lot of people talk about, like we see in Japan. These amazing cruise trains. Like the Shimishika or the Shikashima or whatever it's called. Trains like that are booked, 5 years in advance, right? And they're ridiculously expensive, but because of that, they're making hand over fist, or they'll make hand over fist over it. It's something like that, and that could probably be something that maybe cruise lines. I know Royal Caribbean does a cruise service / train in Alaska. So hey, maybe the cruise companies, if they can't cruise anymore, they can start doing something like that. Cruise trains in America. Who knows? 50 years from now, Royal Caribbean will still be called it'll be like RC Lines or something like that. And like somebody will ask, like, hey, why is RC lines called RC lines in America? It's like, oh, they used to run cruise lines 50 years ago, but now they don't. I don't know. Who knows? I'm just just speculating. But look at this. This is in Austria. Look at this. This is their sleeper cars. I've often complained a lot about Amtrak sleeper cars and how ridiculously silly they are. Because you'll be literally sleeping in the roomettes. If you sleep on the wrong side, you could literally be sleeping next to a toilet next to you. And that's not a good thing. And not only that, the Amtrak, I don't know the faucets, the stupid faucets. I can't stand the stupid freaking faucets on Amtrak. Who came up with that design? I want that person to come up right here so I can just punch him in the face. What kind of design is that you have to push the stupid... I don't know. I'm not going to talk about that. Brightline caught that completely right. Okay? A faucet that's just motion activated. It's simple. It's simple. They had that available. But look at this. Look at this. Look at how comfy the sleeper looks. Sleek, modern, not stupid modern, but it's a modern that works, right? You have your closet area space over here. It probably has a shared bathroom somewhere. Probably if it doesn't have one in the car. But yeah, something like this, could be what Amtrak needs to do, right? Because those sleeper cars, yeah, they're old. I remember the bed that we had. It was like every time like the Amtrak would jump, it would just be like I need a WD-40 or something like that to keep it just down and stop squeaking back and forth. That's what it is. I think I guys have told you this story. There was one time that we were on Amtrak. There was an air conditioner door that was busted up, and it kept flapping back and forth. The air conditioner unit door kept flapping back and forth. And we asked the guy 5 times, like, can you fix it or something like that? Because it's right in front of our room, and it keeps flapping, and it's really loud, and, it keeps making noise. Like, oh, we'll get to that, we'll fix it. They never fixed it. My dad had some tape that he got from my mom, and then he just went ahead and just MacGyvered fixed it. He just put some tape over it, and it was done. And then the conductor got mad. I was like, oh, you can't do that because you're gonna, you can't do that. It's like, really, because, oh, you can't do that because it's a safety violation and it can't be easily accessed. And my dad's like, really? Just goes ahead, just takes off the tape and opens the door. And he says, like, how hard is that for you guys to do? It's silly stuff like that, So, that's an opportunity that we can do. All right. Last several articles. We're going to talk about 2 things over here. Let's talk about France, and we'll talk about a little bit about Brightline, and then we'll talk about Czechoslovakia, right? So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna take a last round of questions. So if you want, we're gonna take everybody who's on the call right now. We'll go ahead and take that, and we'll try to call it a night. So I'm trying to make this live stream a little bit shorter, okay? Because I know some of you guys like the longer live streams, and we've been doing pretty well. Let's take some of the comments over here before anything else. It looks like the Marlboro train. Yeah. Well, you can't have Marlboro train now anymore because, used to have Marlboro F1 cars. Don't have that anymore because of, advertising regulations. That's silly. It's silly. We need to... This is from Apples. Interesting name, Apples. You have a friend named Oranges? We need to convince the federal government that high-speed rail can have military applications. Oh boy. I know what you're saying. Transporting troops to different U.S. cities quickly and efficiently. They created an interstate system for the military. I know that's what people say. Oh, they created the highways for that. It was really a way to go ahead and convince the military and convince the federal government that this could be a defense project. Right, that we'll need to move troops and stuff like that, and move massive amounts of tanks, just in case the Russians attack in California. So we'll need to move a whole lot of people over there. That was a really far-fetched idea, and it caught on, and it was able to grant lots of funding for it. It was really an idea, basically, in order to open up the flood doors to funding. That's really what it was in reality. Let's see. Will TCR trains be imported from Japan itself? They will not be imported from Japan. The plans will be brought over from Japan, and the Japanese will bring over their expertise and, the materials and whatnot, and it will be built here in the United States as per the Build America regulations. which is really how it should be. That's really the thing that's really good. I mean, Siemens makes the trains over here. They make the Chargers in California. So Japan's going to do the same. So we'll be making Shinkansens here in the United States. That'll be incredible. You know, think of that, guys. We're going to be making Shinkansens here in the United States. You know, once Texas gets their things running, that's going to be cool. Von Schleifen plan, yeah. That's what the ration. China expanding their rail system, yeah. And China expanding their high-speed rail system. Look, for these people saying that, oh, China has put themselves in massive amounts of debt for building. You think China's going to be paying back the debt? You think China cares? They're going to do something like a country did back in the 1930s that we shall not name, that's just going to go ahead and say, no, we're not paying your debt. We're not paying the debt. Don't care. So what? You want to start a war over us? Fine. Don't care. China's just not going to do it. They're just going to be building up themselves, building up their weaponry, and just saying, you know, come at me, bro. Come on. Come get me. Come get me.
Boy!
That's what they're gonna do. Yeah. CTR Lee, hey Demetrius, do you think there's another market for auto train outside of the I-94 corridor? I think there is. California will definitely be one I will think about. Really, the thing about the auto train is that, you know, yeah, it's a good thing because you're melding in that, you know, people need their automobiles and they want to, you know, go from, you know, DC to Sanford. Langford, Virginia, I think. I don't know. It's right outside of DC and it's right outside of Orlando, right? So connecting those two major areas, and you have a lot of people from the Northeast that, you know, come down and take their car over to DC, and then they go over to Orlando and, you know, have fun in Disney World and have fun in the area there in Orlando, and then come back. That's the majority of people who use that service, right? The thing is that, and the problem is that it relies on the automobile afterwards, right? Now, granted, you know that's a good thing because Amtrak outside of the Northeast Corridor, the auto train is Amtrak's most profitable service. So having something like that in the United States in different places is very much a good way to sort of wedge people and get them acclimated over to the rail system. In fact, that was the first time I've ever been on a train, right? It was on the auto train. We drove up to New York. This was when I was like 7 or 8. My parents did not want to drive back down. We're like, oh God, we don't want to drive back down. And we found out, hey, there's a train. If we just drive down to AC, we can take this train, load up the Honda Pilot, go ahead and, you know, have something to eat, relax, sleep, wake up in the morning, have breakfast, and then we're in Orlando. And then we could just drive back down to Miami. And it was a fantastic time. It was fantastic. So yeah, having a service like that, you know, really does put the culture of having a train, having passenger rail in the minds of Americans. I honestly do think that's a really good thing to do. So yeah, CTR Lee, yeah, that's a good thing. So anyway, let's look at this again. The problem is that you kind of keep that. You kind of keep that reliance on the automobile still stuck within that service, but it's still good, right? And look, if people don't bring their cars anymore, let's say the auto train, 10 years from now, Amtrak starts noticing that not too many people are taking their trains on the auto train, right? Or more people are taking the Silver Meteor or the Silver Star. Then all they have to do is just stop the service or, and do something else, right? So you at least still have the train going on back and forth, and all you have to do is just switch it up. And that's all. It's very simple to have. So it's a good thing to have. It could be done in other places. I'm not quite sure where, but again, apart from maybe California, but that's it. French Parliament backs ban on short domestic flights that compete with rail. So this is kind of funny because in a lot of places in Europe, there's a lot of the only airlines that really compete with rail in the places where rail has the vast majority of market share is most of these budget airlines, right? Like Ryanair and all the other ones that are terrible. You can think Spirit Airlines is bad. Oh boy, European budget airlines are a whole different demon. some sort of monstrosity from hell, some sort of torture from the Ninth Circle that is really awful. And you're basically standing up in these airlines because the seats are just awful. But here's the thing: in most places, you'll have the railroads, these high-speed rail lines or other rail lines, they'll have like 80% of the market share. But still, 10% of the market share is run by the airlines. They'll make these cheap flights, and they'll get some money back after, running through these airplanes and running through people's pockets, right? Most of their biggest cost is mostly fuel. Now, because of this, the French government is saying, well, this is a waste of time. Why are you guys doing this? We're gonna ban airlines in these areas, right? So, is it a good thing? Once you get to that point, if the government wants to do that, the government's gonna do that, right? But it means, is what they say here, quote, decarbonizing transport. So let's read this article real quick. The French National Assembly has voted to approve a ban on internal flights where an alternative train journey is available on a trip of 2 hours and 30 minutes or less, following a long consultation exercise on climate change. All right, see, that makes sense. The legislation follows a $7 billion loan from the French government or €7 billion loan to Air France, agreed at the height of the first wave of the COVID crisis in April 2020. Yeah, see, it's not just America where airlines get a lot of government funding. Well, actually, most airlines outside of the United States are mostly owned by the government or operated by the government, which stipulated that the airline must withdraw all domestic flights that compete with a rail alternative. This covered flights from Paris to Bordeaux, Nantes, and Rennes. The Parliament ruling means the ban will now apply to other airlines, although it does exclude connecting flights. Okay, so something like that makes sense. Are you beating on business? Yeah, but is it doing something that's going to make sense in the long run? Yeah. You don't want to, just because the government can go ahead and build more roads doesn't mean it's a good thing. But just because a private company can go ahead and do another, airline in a place that you have another option that makes more sense, is a bad thing. And look, you want to give people the option. If they want to take an airline, go ahead. But sometimes it's just redundant and ridiculous to be taking an hour flight. Like, a flight from, like I took the flight from Miami to Orlando to have a connecting flight, over to Indy. Right, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys have heard about what happened at the Indianapolis airport last night. It wasn't Indy Airport. So Federal Express has their second largest distribution center in Indianapolis outside of the airport. And that's where the shooting happened. It's like 2 or 3 miles outside of the actual passenger airport area. But yeah, from what I've heard from people who work there in the FedEx distribution center and people who used to work there, I could see where people could go postal. It's a very, very hard and terrible working environment. Hopefully it wasn't as bad as some people were saying. Just get ready for a lot more of that in the decade to come. It's going to be the Roaring 20s, guys. But look, there's some good things that can come out of it, right? I know it's hard times, but hey, it's what it is. I had to do that. So look at this, good things. Brightline CEO, the future is bright. The future is bright with Brightline. Brightline CEO, Vegas to LA high-speed rail line still on track to break ground in 2021. All right, they're looking to schedule in the second quarter of this year, which is basically now. We're in the second quarter, or we're just starting into the second quarter. April is the start of the second quarter. Probably by the end of June or something, they can probably get their shovels down on the ground and get that going, or at least have at least have something set off that they say, yes, we have permission to go ahead and build. And it's been a lot. Why is it a lot easier here to build? Because most of the land outside of the west of the Mississippi, you have 80% of the land that's either owned by the government or by what's the government agency? The GOA, I think, or I don't know, the Bureau of Land Service, something like that, some sort of alphabet. I can't remember it right now. But anyway, you have it's either owned by the state or owned by the federal government, and people just go ahead and you can do whatever you want on these public lands, right? That's why you see a lot. If you watch a lot of like gun videos on YouTube or whatnot, you see people over there. They'll just go on like some patch of desert over there in like Nevada, and they'll just start shooting guns and stuff like that. And it's legal. It's legal to do that. Just like it's legal for Brightline to go ahead, and because they're staying on this highway route. They're building right along the highway route. So there's only one person to ask for permission. And that's the government, and they said yes. All right. So it's easy. It's easy to do. Right. So this is good. Brightline West CEO did not give the Reno Gazette-Journal a definitive date on when shovels would strike dirt to commence the 170-mile Vegas to Victorville, California route. The world has changed as a result of the pandemic, but we continue to work whenever possible we could towards advancing the ball, Reininger said. The project remains a very high priority for us. Brightline, the country's only privately owned passenger railroad, sent a letter to the Nevada High-Speed Rail Authority in January and revealed the pandemic year created significant hurdles to fund the train expected to reach top speeds of 200 miles an hour. The company had made progress with intentions to sell private activity bonds allocated for the project by the U.S. Department of Transportation and the states of Nevada and California to pay for construction. However, the letter said election uncertainty, the lack of approval of a COVID-19 vaccine, the lack of liquidity in the market did not allow us to price the bonds to provide long-term stability for the company, right? That's fair. That makes sense. Last year, Brightline announced that Fortress Investment Group, its parent company, had put the brakes on the $8 billion privately financed Express West project when it could not complete financing. In January, Brightline West president Sarah Watterson said her company was preparing a revised financial plan that could see a second quarter 2021 groundbreaking date. Okay, so they took a step back to see how the market is going to do, and now they're going to say, okay, well, things are starting to get better, and by the time we finish construction, hopefully this whole COVID ordeal will be over, right? Until we have COVID-25. I don't know. Maybe we'll have the fabled COVID-53, as we heard from the man from the future. I don't know where did these sunglasses come from. The tenor of the financial markets today is dramatically different. Yeah, it's true. The stock market is doing incredibly well. People are optimistic about a massive rebound in the country. Jobs are heading in the right direction. That gives us confidence about our ability to keep our project on track. Maybe things are not as good as it's gonna be. But hey, you never know. You just never know. Sorry to put that, guys, on you, but let's go. Meanwhile, Amtrak has teased plans to possibly install a new line between Las Vegas and Los Angeles, which is probably not going to happen. It's going to be Brightline. It's going to be Brightline. It's not going to be Amtrak doing that. All right, last article of the night. It's 10:01. All right, maybe we're not so much on time here, but hey, we're getting better, right? We're getting better, right?
Whoa, yeah, baby! This train runs on time!
But hey, look, we're doing well. We're doing well here. So I can't speak Czech, but I had a lot of friends who were Slavic back in Miami. I was dating a Ukrainian girl for the longest of time, but yeah, I still. But all I know is in Russian is Privet do svidaniya. But I don't know Czech. It's a whole completely different language too. Similar, but same thing. Czech, not the same thing, but similar thing, right? It's like saying Italian and French and Spanish and Portuguese. They're all Latin languages, right? The Czech Rail Infrastructure Manager Sprava Zeleznik has presented an update to work to prepare for construction of several high-speed lines in the Czech Republic. So look, other countries are pushing for high-speed rail too. Which is good. And, Prague has a very good transportation system there, from what I've heard. The plans include lines to Dresden in Germany and to connect with the Slovak and Polish rail networks to offer much faster connections between Prague and cities such as Bratislava and Wrocław. SV describes its work as the pre-investment phase of the entire program, with construction on the first sections expected to start in 2025. SV is planning a north-south high-speed rail corridor from the German border linking Ústí nad Labem to Brno in the south of the country, with major new networks serving Prague and Jihlava. I'm butchering this. The network will be built in phases, will serve around 5.5 million people, roughly half of the Czech population. When complete, 130,000 people or passengers are forecast to use the network every day. Look, this is good. Look, you have something like this over here, which is basically, it's again. The thing about Europe is that there's a lot of smaller countries. Okay, very similar to the United States, which is a collection of different, companies. And again, a lot of these borders in Europe have been fluctuating for a long, not Not in the recent years, but I'm pretty sure when things start to get crazy again, you'll see borders start to fluctuate. Just like probably here in the United States, whatever happens probably in the future after what did I write here? The third Civil War, the rights and the constitutional monarchical states of America. You never know. I don't know what America's going into right now, but look, empires fall, and what's like the average. The average length of an empire is usually around 250 years. America's about 250 years old. Look, I don't know what will happen, but look, it doesn't matter because you're still going to have to build high-speed rail, right? People are going to still get back and forth, okay? Even if, you have, the California, like, I don't know, the People's Republic of California, and you have to get to, the free Texan states of America, right? There's still going to be connections in between there, right? People still have to go back and forth. So you're gonna need rail regardless, right? And the same thing's happening in Europe, right? And Europe's been you've had constant war in Europe for thousands of years. So look, and we have a period of peace. So you have rail, and even without it, you still have rail. Preparatory work is also underway for other planned network sections for completion in 2022 to 2023. All right. So look at that. So things are moving over in other places, and hopefully here in the United States, we'll get something similar. God forbid, hopefully nothing terrible happens. But hey, we're moving forward. We are moving forward.
Can't stop the train, baby.
So let's get over to our calls over here. Let's see who's next in line over here. So I'm gonna start trying to bring in some newer people first, and then we'll go over to our residents that are usually here on Discord, and we'll hear from them. The American Empire is not as old. Yeah, the American Empire as an empire maybe formed probably, America after World War I really started to gain more worldwide significance, but again, nations have their ups and downs, right? The United States economically is in decline. Yeah, our infrastructure looks like things could be looking bright, but, we have to keep moving forward, pushing on, right? Regardless of whatever disasters may be looming, or maybe good things may be looming, we still have to build infrastructure. That's why I'm still here, okay? I'm not going to be all doom and gloom. It's like, oh, everybody, get beans, hide in the basement, it's going to be the boog, and all that stuff. And what? So you're gonna starve after what? 3 months of beans, and you're gonna have your little night vision goggles. Whoop-de-doo. Good job. We still gotta build somewhere. Europe, their ultras still have wars during football games, especially if it's a derby. Yeah, it's kind of morphed into that. All right, so let's go ahead and put the music down a bit over here, and let's have Ryan Rail on. Ryan Rail. You are on. Alright. I'll give people a little bit to just get on there, but Ryan Rail, you are on the call. You're on board.
Hello? After you.
I can hear you. Just either get a little closer to the mic or make it a little louder. I'm having the volume is a little low.
Sorry.
There you are. I can hear you. I can hear you a bit better. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing great. Doing great. Welcome aboard onto the show.
Yes, welcome. Or thank you. Not welcome.
All right.
Pleasure meeting you and being here. So.
Of course. The pleasure is mine. All right. So, what's up? You wanna share something? You have a question? What's up?
Well, I don't really know. I know I'm from Colorado. Hello.
Cool.
There's been an extensive blowout of, Amtrak building their front range rail line here.
All right, yeah. And where was that from? I think, what is it, from Denver to Aspen, or?
They said all the way up to Cheyenne and down to Pueblo.
It's
actually a very extensive system.
Yeah. Again, I'm not too familiar with Colorado, so you have to excuse me. But yeah,
It's okay.
Yeah. No, that's pretty good, and yeah, Colorado's a state that's really needed a lot more transit and transportation. I know we've had some articles of the Union Station now that are trying to increase more services to other places. Some sort of commuter service.
Oh yeah, definitely. Ever since that the map of when Amtrak posted that, literally every single news team went out and did a segment on it.
Yeah.
It is blown up hugely, and I absolutely adore it.
Yeah, no, that's really great, and things like that in other states. And once these states build, more robust rail systems, and then other states can be able to see, from the successes of that, and then you'll be able to see more copycat type of systems, like what we've seen in Florida. That's really pushed up because of Brightline. A lot of other companies are now coming up and trying to push on the success. Like, see, look at what's going on in Florida. That's going really well. We can do this here in the other places.
Oh yeah, definitely. Huge amount of blow. Same with when Portland started doing their streetcars. Now every city wants a streetcar.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We've been making a whole lot for the last 5 years or so. America's been on a streetcar boom. So that's really good. The only thing I have, and I've driven in some, not driven, but I've ridden in some streetcars in different places. I'd like to drive a streetcar. I mean, it's not that hard. I just go forward, backward, or whatnot. I probably got to do like a train sim sort of. Thing on here for a stream one time, but the only problem is that some of these streetcars, and I was in Oklahoma City, and I saw their streetcar looks fantastic, but the problem is that they're following the red lights, so it's really just kind of in a sense turns into sort of a big bus on rails instead of an actual train where the only stops they should be doing is stopping at stations. So that's my only gripe, and of course it's an American thing. They do that in some other streetcars around the country, which is if we got to do streetcars, we got to do them right.
Yeah, well, the one thing here in America that I really don't like is that a lot of higher ups use it as a development tool for their city.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make for a very good transit line, but it brings new growth to the city. But your transit line then sucks.
Yeah, and they'll do it. It becomes a thing like sort of like the hop in I think in Milwaukee. The problem with that is that it's just kind of more like a little tourist thing, and it's not really a robust transportation system that's bringing people in outlying areas, in and around, like a 5 mile radius or so, right? Because streetcars really need to work in a smaller, compact area, right? You're working in city grids. The thing is that if you just have one line just going in and out, and it's like like a 2 mile, 3 mile line, how many people are actually using that? Because most people are just going to be driving into the city and then driving out. They're not going to be really using the streetcar that much. So that's really the problem. Is when we try to make streetcars, we have to do it right here in the United States, and it has to be a big, robust system that really connects people around. Yeah, it cannot just be a little tour bus.
Yeah, or it can't be used as a tool for growth for a city. It has to be used as a transit line.
Yeah, and some cities do exactly that. Like they'll say, "Oh, this is great for transit-oriented development," and it's really a way to just funnel money. And that's where you start getting things into that really becomes a real boondoggle, and then it looks bad on the whole rest of transportation, because then you have this bad example and this bad apple that everybody is saying, "Look, this is this trains are just a waste of time here in the country. Nobody uses a train, and look at in this city they built a train and nobody's riding in it."
Oh, yeah, definitely. When you think about it, if implemented correctly, streetcars can have a huge impact. That's your last mile connection.
Yeah.
To where you have to go from the train station.
Exactly.
And if used properly and implemented greatly, you
can
do a lot with it.
It's basically a cleaner, more efficient type of bus. Which that's really what the buses were. They were just a replacement for streetcars after the whole GM conspiracy that we talked about earlier in the stream. And it's so many cities had massive amounts of streetcars everywhere. I mean, where I'm living here in Indianapolis, we had a massive streetcar network here. You even had streetcars that connected down to cities that were 50 miles south of here, and a lot of people used to take the streetcars up to go see the Indianapolis 500. So, it was here. We had a train culture in this country, it shouldn't be that hard and difficult to bring it back.
No, and I even know here in Colorado Springs, we even want to implement our own streetcar too, because we're having the big boom with Amtrak's possible, connection across the Front Range, and then we have the Cog Railway, which is just opening up in May, end of May, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So it would be huge to somehow link people from the train station, take them straight to the Cog Railway by a streetcar or something like that.
Yeah. And the Pikes Peak Cog Railway has been pretty popular in the chat as of late. Yeah.
News has exploded on that thing like no tomorrow.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been great.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me. I'll surely come on another time.
Of course, yeah. We're trying to keep this for every week now on Friday, so yeah, it's been doing pretty well.
Good. I'll come back then. You'll hear my voice again.
Absolutely. Take care, man.
You too. Have a good day.
All right. Okay, so let's see who's next in line. Georgy Zukov. Let's put him into here. Georgy Zukovs wants ZT. That's a funny name. Georgie, you're on.
Hello. How are you?
Doing all right. How about you? Welcome aboard.
Perfect. Nice to be here.
Same here, man. What's up?
So yeah, I think earlier you were talking about how rail infrastructure is going to be useful long after a country is gone.
Right.
I think you were talking about how if the U.S. ever falls apart, it's still an investment for the future, even if the U.S. doesn't exist.
Exactly.
And ignore the connotations with the username. I'm talking about the former Soviet Union for a completely different reason. It has nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
but it's the same thing there. It's
the
same thing there. Because they made so many rail lines during the Soviet Union because it was seen as sort of the communist man's transportation. It's public transport. They didn't have as many cars available, especially in the earlier Soviet Union. So these rail lines now go everywhere. You could even go to small mining towns in northern Siberia, and it's still in use today, and it's still a major way for people to get around us, even between borders. You can even with everything that's going on, there's even services from Ukraine to Russia, over that very contentious border.
Yeah.
And it's incredible just seeing all this old infrastructure and trains that were built in East Germany in the 80s, and they're still in use today. So I'm just sort of trying to substantiate your claims about how it's useful to build all this infrastructure now, even if a country doesn't exist later. I mean, it's absolutely this is going to be an investment forever.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Hey, Russia, for all the jokes that we make about them and whatnot, they already have high-speed rail. I mean, they have the Sapsan from Moscow to St. Petersburg, the Swift train over here from Nizhny Novgorod, Moscow to Berlin. All these trains. Yeah. For all the jokes we make of fun of them or whatnot, they have high-speed rail, and we don't even have one real true high-speed rail line. I mean, we have Acela and Brightline and whatnot, but none of them go 200 miles an hour or anything like that.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I think I actually the Sapsan's interesting. It's not actually really that much of high-speed rail. I think it sort of barely fits the requirement.
Yeah, it's from what I've read, it's kind of like a little better than the Acela. It would go 150 miles an hour, but because of the quality of the rail lines over there, they're still running on 70-year-old Soviet lines. Yeah,
exactly. They still need to upgrade it, and then the Swift is just or the Strij. It's not actually that impressive. It's because it's a Tolgo train. And in Russia, that's impressive, right? It's like a new modern train, and it goes at modern speeds. Because most of the stuff they have there, most of the rolling stuff, it's just 80s, Platzkartny made in. I think most of the trains were made in one town in East Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, they got the Germans to make it. That's a funny thing.
Exactly. So yeah, I actually, speaking of the Sapsan though, I have a funny Sapsan story for you.
Sure.
So this very much goes straight into Russian stereotypes. It was just really ironic. So I was in Russia, I think it was in 2018, August. And I was actually about to leave the country. I was getting on a train in St. Petersburg, and I was going to go to Tallinn. So I was at the Moskovsky railway station, and I was walking down the platform. Your boy was carrying so much weight because I had just come from like a hiking trip in the Caucasus. So I had like a 20-kilo bag strapped around my neck. Maybe it was a bit heavier than that. And I was just walking, and I was about to be late for my train.
Oh boy.
And I was on the platform. I was almost to my car, and the train on the other side of the platform, because it was a center platform, it was a Sapsan that just came in from Moscow, and this big overweight Russian guy comes out of the train, out of the Sapsan, and he's just sort of walking slowly, sort of limping. And he walks, he looks dazed, and he stops, looks straight forward a second, and just sort of collapses.
God.
on his beer belly. So he was definitely drunk. Funny enough, there were actually police officers like a matter of feet away from me.
Oh dear.
And they took like a good minute to actually respond to that, and he was just sort of like sleeping on the platform at that point. He was just passed out. So
So what did they do? Did they drag him out or something, or pick him up and just what did they do then?
After a minute, they were like, "Okay, we actually have to do something." So they picked him up. I think they sort of shook him around until he woke up. But here's my question: he was on the train and he got drunk there. He wasn't drunk, got on the train and passed out. He got drunk on the train, got off of the train, and immediately passed out.
I know. It's that Russian vodka, man. It'll hit you like hard base. After a while, man. You'll just be drinking it and drinking it, and then all of a sudden you'll just be.
Yeah, I went there thinking that all the stereotypes we have about them aren't true, but I mean at least some of them are. Just a few. I mean, man, that's not bad. I mean, each to their own. They have it's a cultural thing, I guess.
Yeah, and I remember when I was in Japan, we were riding the metro cars over in Tokyo, and it was late at night. We were taking some of the last trains back home, and we saw this the salary man, as they call him over there, the salary man. He was just sleeping, and he had some bottles underneath him, and he was just sleeping on the train. And of course the bottles were empty or whatnot. So we felt kind of sorry for him. He's just sleeping there. We just got through 2 stops and and we're thinking should we wake him up or what something? I'm like no, let's just leave him there. They'll probably wake him up after the train stops because they'll sweep the trains and get everybody off or whatnot. So we think is how do we help this dude? It's we'll just take his his bottles and we'll just recycle them and throw them away. At least we'll do something nice for him and whatnot. So. But it's stuff like that. Different cultures, man. I mean, hey, places like Japan, they'll let you drink, alcohol out in the open. You can walk down the street, drink alcohol, and nobody bats an eye over there. It's normal, and you can get beer out of the vending machines over here in the United States. I guess it's sort of a Protestant thing that came up. Of course, one of the only countries to ban alcohol for a time, which was completely disastrous. That's the thing when you ban things in this country. People do not like it when you ban, especially things like alcohol or guns. It's not gonna end up so well.
Yeah. And I just have one question. I don't know how much international experience you have to sort of speak on this, but sleeper experiences, sleeper trains internationally, which country do you think does them the best?
Man, I mean, the only international experience I can take from is probably Japan, because we were actually going to take a sleeper train back from Osaka to Tokyo, but they were all full. In fact, they were full for 2 months on end. So we're like, oh shoot! So how are we gonna get back? And they had the last Shinkansen back, so we just took the last Shinkansen that went out at 9:30 back. We got there 11 something back to Tokyo. But no, I haven't been able to take a sleeper train outside of the United States. But all I can say is from what I've heard from experience and from what I've seen online and experienced vicariously. Probably some of the ones in Europe. Like we were just talking about the night jet services over in Switzerland. I heard those are very, they're done really professionally well and comfy, and they serve you some really nice food on there. I mean, that's from what I've heard. I mean, I can't really say from my own experience, because the only night car that I've taken, me personally, is the ones on Amtrak, and we know those aren't up to par with what the rest of the world is going on.
Yeah, they definitely aren't. Yeah, I don't have many experiences to sort of pull from either. The only sleeper train experience I have outside of the U.S. is just South Africa.
That's interesting.
I don't know. It was actually pretty good. But the trains they've deteriorated. That used to be like the primary mode of transportation. You used to have I was going from Johannesburg to Durban, and it's used to be maybe 8 trains a day. Now there's 1 train every 3 days.
Yeah, things in South Africa there are deteriorating like crazy. I mean, that's not a good place to be right now. I mean, with everything that's going on, it's not good. Hopefully, something can happen there in that country where people will start to fix things up. The way things are going, not a good place to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to hold up Mr. David Mitchell. It looks like who's coming up next. So, I'll pass it off to him.
No worries, but right. But thank you for coming on. It was an interesting story you shared. I appreciate it, man.
Very probably the most interesting story I have in my brain. So.
This big Russian dude. Yeah. I don't know. All he had to do was have an Adidas shorts or something like that on, and that would have been complete.
He didn't have Adidas, but he did have track pants. I think they were Nike. If I remember correctly,
something like that.
You go by stereotype.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, man, for coming on. I appreciate it.
You have a good night, man.
You too.
All right. See ya.
Take care. Alrighty, David Mitchell is coming on next. Let's put him on the stream here. You are on, David.
Something like that.
You go by stereotype.
Yeah.
Right. Make sure you have the if you muted the stream so we don't have it feedback back and forth, man.
Oh, I'm Nick.
All right.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey there. How you doing? Oh.
Doing good, man. Oh, my wife is behind me with me, but.
Salutations to your wife, man.
Oh, you want to say hi, baby? Hi.
Hi there. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm having fun with my husband.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, you two seem to be really doing well.
I just self-studying in theater. Yeah. That's the reason why I do weird exercises and singing.
But I think that I'm going to bring up today because I was talking to a friend earlier at Walmart. Before I got off of work, me and him were talking about this. He knows someone who working for a trucking company, and they are scared right now because of rail.
Huh. All right. So what are they scared about on rail? Is that a lot of product going more on rail than on trucks?
Yeah, more going by rail than truck now.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on where in the country, because, my future brother-in-law, Holly's brother, he works in the trucking industry, and they've just been, just going everywhere. In fact, that he's had to go down into Tennessee for a while in order to, move products over there in that area. It depends on where in the country that's going on, but a lot of, as we've seen before, there's a lot of more products now being moved by rail. Looking at here, U.S. rail traffic, farm products, excluding grain and food, 9.4%. Forest products, 3.9%. Motor vehicles, 450% up. Total traffic increase of 24.5%. Yeah, it's I don't know how the trucking industry is doing. I'll probably have to look at freight waves or something like that. But yeah,
it's not doing pretty well because the trucking business right now, a lot of truck companies are not getting that many driver hire. There are not that many people wanted to do trucking at all.
Huh.
So that's a big problem. More people are going to want to use trains more than trucks because when you have less truckers, the prices go up even higher.
Yeah. And
so this is a big for the trucking companies.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's
literally.
that's the thing. It is a very stressful job, and the problem is that a lot of these trucking companies have been taking advantage of a lot of their drivers. You know, they're not paying them the price per mile that they've been having, or they're gimping them out on fuel costs or whatnot. Because a lot of them, you have to pay with the company credit card to go ahead and get fuel on there or whatnot. But just the thing is that the problem is that you have a lot of people that used to work for the trucking companies, and they're sick and tired of the politics of working for those companies. The pay that's not doing so well, unless you're a veteran of the company, then you're doing well. But the thing is that when you really start out, you're not getting paid that much for the work that you're doing, and it's long hours.
I know, and here, Jane, we need to put a lot more restriction on trucking because of all the bull crap that go on.
Yeah. This is the only things I'm finding on freight waves now. Yeah, because the thing is that because if freight railroads are doing as well as they're doing, the thing is that now trucking companies are trying to go into last mile, according to what this article is saying. More long haul drivers eyeing final mile. Yeah, and that's really what's going on. Is that there's going to be, and that's really what it used to be, was that once, let's say once freight railroads got their products to a specific city or region, then the product would move on to trucks, and the trucks would go ahead and around the city or around the surrounding area, right, delivering all those products. That's really where it makes sense. The thing is that because you have now too many products, or either not enough products going on freight railroads, depending on where you are in the country, these trucking companies will try to undercut the prices of freight railroads and try to move a lot of products to places that are over 500 miles apart or 400 miles apart. And that's really where
that's technically right there a monopoly right there that trucking company's been doing. That a freaking monopoly right there.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's just been happening mostly. It's more induced by the market and less by the government. Although the government has, because the thing is, freight railroads own their own infrastructure, right? They have to go ahead and fix up their own infrastructure and pay their own money to fix up tracks or to fix up equipment, etc. Trucking companies don't pay, for the roads. They don't fix up the roads. They use the roads, but they don't pay taxes or pay, costs for I-65 is broken. We need to go ahead and fix that so our trucks can go ahead and move smoother. No, the states pay for that. The people pay for that, and the federal government pays for that. So, in a sense, yeah, the government is unfairly subsidizing the trucking industry because of that.
And here, Jane, the trucking companies, up in a short line railroad called the Grafton and Upton, up there, they are planning to bring in a lot of business and bring in an industrial zone, but the NIMBYs with the trucking companies are protesting against it.
Yeah.
Literally. It's in another thing, on the Michigan Peninsula, the peninsula that connect to Canada, Canadian Pacific is selling one of their main lines to a short line railroad, and the NIMBYs up there and the trucking company are trying to stop that from happening because they'll get better served by a short line than a class 1,
Yeah.
So
I mean, look, it's just part of what happens, but hopefully now. I mean, here's another article I brought up from Freightways. Kansas City Southern, and we talked about that before, and the merger that's going on. Bullish on late 2021 volume, so they're seeing that volumes are starting to pick up now. They're moving more products, so with that movement of the shift of products from trucking over to railroads, that's going to balance out the industry a lot more. Now, again, what we talked about with precision scheduled railroading, hopefully the same problems that has been plaguing the trucking industry and really hurting the workers in that industry, hopefully don't go ahead and hurt the workers in the freight railroad industry. Again, that's really the problem. Is we see the trains and we see the infrastructure and whatnot, But I'd like to bring up on this channel is that, there are people, there are human beings behind them too. We can't, just, work them to death because of that. We have to be moral about this. And the United States, for the longest of time, no, not for I keep saying the longest of time, and Holly has been really beating on me for that and making fun of me, but that's been my new thing. But the thing is that I would say since the 70s and 80s and 90s, we've kind of pushed out the morals of really taking care of our workers here in this country, and that's what's causing most of the problems in the trucking industry. I mean, look at what here's an article over here about what happened here in India. I called it, and people didn't say we don't know who the shooter was, because I was up late last night. I was watching this, and one of the guys mentioned that he was shooting at people coming out, and he was shooting there at around like 12 o'clock last night. So this guy was probably working third shift, late night shift in FedEx. He was ticked off of the working conditions and went postal. It's a mental health issue in the United States, mainly caused by our companies. Yeah,
Heck, me and my wife, we're both autistic, and mental health for us, like, people attack us because we're autistic, or like be racist toward us.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. People will be like that. Not racist, because racism, we're talking about race, but yeah, they will discriminate against you because of your, and I know this because the same thing has happened to my brother, when he's applied for jobs, or and that's the thing, they'll go ahead and say, legally we cannot go ahead and not hire you because of your disability or whatnot. Companies definitely do that. They lie all the time about that. They lie through their teeth about it, and they'll mess over people like that.
And then sometimes they will take advantage of those people because they see them as cash cows sometimes.
Yeah. And they'll take advantage, especially of a lot of autistic, people. A lot of them, are very naive of how people will work, and they're very, I would say, a pure spirit in that sense. Because they see the best in people, but they don't see that people sometimes take advantage of them. And I'm sure that's happened to you sometimes. Yeah, it's happened to Darius, my brother, several times, and I've had to be there, to strong arm whoever the hell is, doing that at them and say, get the heck away from my brother. I've always protected him like that. We need more people to protect a lot of autistic people out there, because it's becoming a problem.
And okay, here's something else, like what we were talking about with the PSR earlier. Like, PSR is so bad right now. Like, we had a train tied down here in Ravenel where we had a train tied down from 6 in the morning until 8 at night, like 8:30 at night. They had it tied down because the curfew on the crew ran out, so the crew couldn't work anymore because they're only allowed to work up for 12 hours, and then after that they gotta call it,
Yeah.
So train was tied down. They did not even have another crew ready for it until 8 o'clock. So that's pretty crappy right there, if you're saying so,
Yeah, and that's the type of the problem is that in this country we really protect companies way too much, right? They're not individuals. Corporations are a collection of people, working together. It's an organization. So, protecting them too much is not protecting the workers, and this is why we had unions in these countries. Now, unfortunately, we used to have a strong union culture. Now, granted, there were some problems with the unions back then. I mean, let's be honest with unions. Unions were a lot of them. There were a lot of communists inside of the unions, right? And they were trying to. They had other subversive goals in mind through the unions. However, the unions were a good thing through the 50s because it kept a lot of power to the workers. Now, they got lazy with that and they took advantage of that, and now unions have sort of taken advantage of that, and now unions are just working in conjunction with companies. Sometimes just gain more money out of it, and just collect on fees from the workers, and they don't work on really anything to really keep the worker engaged and just make it fair. That's all it is. It's like, people are working a lot more than they used to work back in the 1950s. People were being stressed out far more, by a factor of 10. and they're earning far, far less, both due to inflation and both due to companies just taking advantage of all this. So it's a sad reality, but things are going to start to change. Yeah.
It should be a crime because this is fraud right here at its key. You know?
It's hopefully things are gonna change. Things are gonna change, and that's the thing. I don't know what's gonna take, but all I can say is to be honest is that things will change at this point sooner rather than later, and we're in interesting times. That's what I gotta say. Anyway, David, thank you so much, and hello again to your wife. You guys are a beautiful couple, and you're doing so well. So enjoy the night. Take care.
Thank you. And also, before you go, happy Autism Acceptance Month.
Same here. Take care.
Later, man. Bye.
All right. Okay. Last caller online. We're gonna have Renell. Okay. Let's just try to have again people come up on the call again and again. So if you're in the queue and you're already on, let's give other people a chance. All right. So Renell is going to be the last caller on, and then we'll conclude it from here, guys. All right. We're doing better on timing here, so we're getting there. Hello, Renell. You are on. Renell Reed, you're on.
Hi.
There you are. How's it going, man?
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Hi, Demetrius.
I'm here. How you doing?
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
I want to first. It may be unrelated, but I'm gonna comment on what he was talking about on the others on your last caller.
Yeah.
Related to your brother has a disability and they wouldn't hire him.
Yeah,
that's called ableism.
Yeah, ableism. There you go. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, because racism is a whole different thing. Yeah,
sexism.
Yeah, he said racism. Yeah, that's what it is. Ableism. Yeah, I knew there was some sort of discriminatory term. Yeah, but that's what it is. And look, companies will do that, and they'll say, "Oh, we hired somebody else based on their experience or whatnot." They're BSing. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. It's happened to me too.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, I don't mean it's not my fault at all, but it sucks. It really does. I feel you, man.
I heard Brightline hired. They hire disabled people too?
Yeah, they're very good about that. I've met several people there that do have disabilities. I know there was one guy in a wheelchair that was, he was working at the station there in Brightline, and they're really good about that. And they're hiring some older retired folks as well that want to get out of retirement and do some work or whatnot. So they're doing really good about that. And it's a nice company to work for from what I've seen. And from my experience as well, for working when it was All Aboard Florida, I was interning with them, and I did some more work for them afterwards later on. They treat their workers right, so that's what we need. We need companies like that are moral, that have a good social standing with their workers, and want a company that's not only profitable in terms of money, but profitable socially.
They have mixed disabled and non-disabled people working.
Yeah, anybody that's going to do a good job. That's what you want to hire.
Yes. I would ride on them if I come to Florida again.
Yeah, hey, the state's opening up. One of the most open states probably in the nation. In terms of COVID. So yeah, I mean, once they start getting up there, man, hopefully again by the end of this year, maybe they'll be having services starting up again. But yeah, definitely come on board. I mean, tickets are probably you can get tickets for as low as $8 sometimes, and and enjoy the area.
Budget railway.
Yeah, it's really at the moment where it is right now, it's more of like a premium commuter rail. But I mean, where you're going into the places, they're really nice. You just walk out and you're already in Downtown Miami.
Downtown.
Yeah, you're right there in downtown Fort Lauderdale. Although I will say downtown Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach are probably better places to go than downtown Miami, because downtown Miami, unless you go down to Brickell, but downtown Miami has been dead every, like in the daytime. It's always dead. It's been like that for like the last 30 years. It's just what it is. But Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach are really nice places to go. A lot of nice restaurants, a lot of nice places just to walk. If you just don't want to spend anything, you can just walk there and have a great time.
During rush hour, before the coof, how would Brightline trains look in the morning?
Well, I haven't been there in the morning. I usually went there like either in the afternoon, and then back in the late afternoon or early evening. But they were quite full. I had several videos out. I had my GoPro and going around, or maybe my phone on a one of those swivel pods or whatever. I just forgot the name of it. But anyway,
like a gimbal.
Yeah, the gimbal. There you go. Thank you. But going around on that, there's several people on there, and the train, most of the time is usually around 50 to 80% full, which is, for a service that started out new, that's very good. People complain, oh, it's empty all the time. Like, the service just started. It's starting more as a commuter service between 3 cities. Once it gets itself going to Orlando, things are really going to pick up for it, especially with the way Florida is going right now. That they're doing really well, better than other states right now economically. It's what it is.
They're the most open.
Yeah, and that's done very well for their economy.
And I like to say one little problem with Brightline, I think it would make a little more sense to go to downtown Orlando instead of the airport.
Yeah, but the thing is, the reason why they're going to the airport was that the airport was already being made, the airport station was already being made for the previous high-speed rail plan that was going to be made there. So they're already building up the infrastructure, and they're like, well, so much for that train. Who else can we do it for? And Brightline's like, me, we can go in. We're building a train here. We want to go to Orlando. So that makes sense that they're going there to the Orlando International Airport, and the reason why it does is because now you have the connection between Orlando has a lot more international flights than Miami International Airport. So if you're going to have, you can have a lot of connections between, somebody that comes in from Europe or, somebody that comes in from Japan or China or whatever. They'll go into the Orlando International Airport and they'll take Brightline down over to Miami, and that will be cheaper than a flight over to Miami, which is funny because I took video, or this was like 5 years ago or whatnot, and I was speaking to somebody in American Airlines, and they were ticked off about it, and they're saying, we don't want people to take, a plane, from the, or we don't want people to take a train out of the airport over to Miami, so we want to keep them on the plane, and get, once they get to Orlando, we want to take them on another plane down to Miami. It's like, these guys are it's insane.
Wasn't that when you went to the eMerge conference?
Yes, that was during the eMerge conferences down in Miami. Yeah, and they were open about it. They were talking about it. I didn't say who I was or anything like that. Not that they probably knew me. I'm a nobody anyway. But that's the thing. They just want to keep people on the plane, and when it doesn't make sense, and it's just a much better option to go by train in that time and in that distance.
But I think it also makes sense if you're taking an international flight. You live in West Palm Beach, you could commute to the airport, and I think people who were airport employees might be using it.
Yeah, that could be a possibility. I don't think there's going to be like a massive amount of people. Maybe there's one or two, or some people that say, I live in West Palm Beach and I work at the Orlando International Airport. But we're talking about a minute number that probably doesn't even exist. But the thing is that you open that. Really, when we're talking about the economics of it, we're really opening it up for people to really be able to have a sort of a mega region to get around in. So it helps out all of those cities it's connected to. And we have so much research, like we talked about the last stream. In Japan, it was able to open up Yeah, it was able to open up the economy in all these areas and positively affect them, that now even people who don't take the train are positively affected by it. And we see the same thing in China, although again, China's statistics, it could be real, it could be not, but at least we have, from Japan and from Europe, we've seen that the effects that it has on the local populations and the economy are most of the time positive.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think when TCR, it will really open up the economies of Houston and Dallas.
Oh yeah, and they've already come up with studies with it. It will increase the amount of investments in that area. But anyway, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, man. We're running out of time over here, but it's been great. Thank you.
Last question.
Sure, real quick, man.
Japan trains, they don't have bells or anything. Just TCR. That's the one thing I'm concerned about.
Yeah, well,
they have a bell on their train.
The thing is, they don't really need it because it's the way that the service is. You already have the system there on the Japanese Shinkansens that if they're running too close to another train or they're catching up, so if you have one Shinkansen getting too close to another one, it's a mile apart, the system will automatically kick in and keep it from going there. Similar to what we have to PTC, but what they call it over there is automatic train control. Okay, so that's what keeps the system going. I mean, the trains can run by themselves. Really, you have the conductor on there and the engineer to be able to keep things running on time and to keep the systems running on time and to make sure when to get on and off from the stations. Okay, and they do a fantastic job with that. I mean, heck, you don't need the systems half the time because they're extremely on the dot when it comes to operating these trains. But the same thing with TCR. They do have horns, but they're never used. So if you hear the horn or a whistle on the Shinkansen, it's a very, very rare thing. But I mean, it's probably rarer than seeing Dr. Yellow, which I was surprised of seeing that.
And they don't have bells for the station environment either.
Well, they do have bells. They do have signals that when the train is coming close, they'll go ahead and ding a little jingle or whatnot. The Japanese love those sort of things. Little jingles or over packaging an item. To eat like one little candy, you have to rip out 3 little nice looking packaging elements that you're like, oh, I feel bad taking this off or whatnot, but
I'm talking about a bell for station environment use, like Brightline.
Yeah, they do. They have a jingle. So we'll have like ding 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 or something like that. Some little jingle when the train is coming in or whatnot. So yeah, they have that, and probably they'll have something for Texas. I don't know. Maybe they'll have
Texas.
Yeah, the Yellow Rolls of Texas. I don't know. It'll go like do 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 do. I don't know, but anyway, thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
You too.
Take care. All right. Well, that's it, folks. That's where we are right now. So let's take a look in the comments and wrap this up. It's 10:52, so we're doing all right. I hope TCR has Japanese style jingles. Yeah, you never know. Maybe they'll do something. Plane from Orlando over train. Yeah, is dumb. Yeah, it is. Having a plane from there. It's mostly for connecting flights. That's the thing. A lot of these airline companies, they make most of the money on these short haul connections, and that's what they want to keep in this country. And that's really something it's dragging us down. Yeah. Okay. Oh, there's an email. Okay, yeah. I'm look for anybody who sent me an email. I've looked at all the emails. I'm going to be answering them because I've been busy this week with other unrelated stuff and also trying to get that the video done on New York versus Tokyo. But yeah, I'm going to respond to all your emails. Hopefully by over this weekend I'll have everything setting up. But I haven't forgotten about any of you. I apologize for the delay, and I appreciate you guys for being so patient with me. with all this. Speaking of things that have been patient, so we finally have a P.O. box open up. Okay, so if you guys want to send anything to here, hopefully nothing that the ATF is going to shoot my dogs over or the FRA is going to sue me over. But if you want to send something to the club, or if you're going to get something sent from the club, the address is this. So American Rail Club will be the who's the recipient. The address is 9702 East Washington Street, Suite 400, number 211. We'll go ahead and put a post out there so you guys can see it. Again, I'll put it out in the comments over here. So again, American Rail Club, and then 9702 East Washington Street, Suite 400, number 211. So there you go. So if you guys want to send anything to the club, or if you get anything from that address, don't worry, it's not Risson. It's probably your whistle. Not Risson, it's your whistle. That's what I'm gonna call that. But yeah, no, it's just we're doing pretty well over here. We're getting ourselves more situated to be much more of a professional type of club, but still keeping or sort of millennial goofiness. Thus the Pit Vipers, or the fake Pit Vipers. Yeah, so that's what it is. All right, guys. Topic suggestion: blockchain in transit. That's something for a mini video. I think I talked about that a bit in the previous documentary on the future of trains. The thing is that when blockchain has become sort of one of those key words that becomes a phrase that is overly repeated to just sell people on stuff, and it just becomes vaporware at that point. That's what it is. But yeah. So I think we're gonna end it on that, guys. But thank you so much for coming on board on this wild ride. The future is indeed looking bright. So hopefully we'll be on here next week, and we'll have more views for you. And hopefully by next week I can start. We'll really be almost done with the New York 2. That's going to be coming out hopefully soon. By the end of this month, that video will be on. It is going to be a doozy. We're closing in on the script about 40 minutes or so. I'm trying to bring it down if I can, but hopefully these sort of long format videos, I can try to bring it to somewhere where it's going to be fun and it's going to be informative, that 40 minutes will feel like 5 minutes, and it'll be fun. So thank you all for tuning in. Take care. Have a good night. Thank you for riding on board.